bro. Oh my God, I hate it when I do that. I was muted the whole introduction right there. Every time I do an awesome, fantastic introduction, it seems like it's always the microphone is muted. What's going on? This sound guy needs to be fired. Fired. That's what he should happen. Somebody should fire the sound guy. I don't want this guy in here no more. That's horrible, man. That is horrible. Ah, man. See, now I'm gonna have to go through all this stuff and make sure that the sound is actually okay. Uh, hey, thank you guys for letting me know. You guys are always checking my audio, and I appreciate it. Docino, what's popping? Robert, good evening, sir. I know I'm a little bit late on the evening side. Man, I'm still struggling with this little traveling time. See, this is why I give props to President Trump. This is why I got to give him props. You know, when you travel, man, traveling is not easy. I mean, maybe if you're used to it, but to me, it's a struggle. It's a struggle. Thank you, Craig Miz. I appreciate it. Omar says you're fired, Kamala. Oh man, Omar fell into the regular colors. He was my oldest member on there. You lost your ranking, son. You lost your ranking. Final Billy says, why no sound? Yeah, well, now we got sound. I can see the actual needle moving here. What I want to know is why my face is so red on here. Let me see. It should be okay, I guess. It should be okay. I think it's because I have the main lights in the room turned off. But well, it's okay. We can do with this. We can do with this image. Let me see. I think I can actually. Man, I'm telling you, my computer here is acting up a little bit, but we'll get everything straightened out. We'll get everything straightened out. Let's get some more lighting on here. I think that's looking okay. That's all right, I think. But this bright. Okay, let's go with that bright. Let's go a little bit brighter than what I normally have. Oh yeah, you guys haven't noticed my 250th anniversary? Yes, Adam, I got it from China. Now I ordered it on Amazon, but you know they said it was made here. It's not. It's from China. It took a while. Plus, I can tell it's from China because this is supposed to be an adult size cap, and it feels a little bit small. I'll be honest. It feels a little bit small. I got to be honest. But we have to celebrate a 250th birthday of the United States of America. For many people that don't know, this is a pretty young country compared to other countries around the world. And that is pretty damn special, if I say so myself. So be proud. Be proud of where we are in the world today, what we have accomplished, and what is to come in the future, because I think great things are coming. Now, I know some of you guys are very, very loyalist. Okay, I want to make a very big distinction between being a loyalist and being patriots. See, a loyalist, it means, well, to me, this is just me, a loyalist would be blindly loyal to a person, to a cause. In this case, we're talking politics, to a party. Okay, and you know, and anybody that is a loyalist will eventually fall apart from the crowd, from the group, from the family. And I think it's very important that we address this, because what you have to understand is, if you're going to be in my channel, you have to understand that I'm not a loyalist. I am a patriot. Now, when it comes to politics, I find myself believing that I am a patriot. Meaning what? Meaning that I'm not loyal to President Donald Trump. I support President Donald Trump 100% because I believe that he is the right man in command right now. I support our military. I support America. I support everything that we're doing right now, 100%. That is patriotic to me. But I'm not supporting President Trump because he's a Republican. I'm not supporting President Donald Trump because he is President Donald Trump. I don't do that. If I see him in person, it will be my honor, of course. And anybody that doesn't think that It's a moron. That's just the way it is. I feel like, if I was to go meet Biden, in his prime, and he was president, listen, whether I like it or not, it would still be an honor. That is the president of the United States of America. That doesn't mean that I like him. That doesn't mean that, I am into Bidenomics and everything that he did. But it would still be an honor that the president of the United States of America would welcome me in the White House, regardless of if I like or don't like the person. And I think that you should always choose how or who you want to be. Do you want to be a loyalist or do you want to be a patriot? Now, I'm specifically talking about politics here, okay? Specifically talking about politics, because if we don't if we don't do things patriotically, we will be hypocrites, and I don't want to be a hypocrite. I may seem like a hypocrite to some people because I don't do what they want me to do, or I'm not the type of person that fits their description. See, I don't like being controlled. I don't like being told what to do. I'm a very defensive guy. Yes, I am. I'm very vindictive type of guy. Yes, I am. And the way that I am vindictive, it's not that I want to see everybody suffer and just suffer, and that's what you get for messing with me. I am the type of vindictive person that is kind of like, okay, you're raising false testimony against me. It's going to come back to bite you in the ass. And when it comes back to bite you in the ass, you're going to learn a lesson. That's the vindictive part that I am. Now, there might be a different word. I might be misinterpreting, mispronouncing, or misdescribing. But I only want, I'm only vindictive because I want people to learn their lesson. I want people to get a spanking when they misbehave so that they learn the lesson and change their ways. So with that being said, let's take a look and see what do we have here in store. We're going to listen to Kristi Noem, and as you saw the picture on my thumbnail, and then we're going to listen to Tom Holmes as well. But let me go ahead and get into this chat here. What do we got? Let me open a new browser so that sign into a chat browser so that I can chat with my keyboard here when I get a chance. And then I get to go ahead and say hello to all of you people that are coming in here. All right, let me go ahead and start from the top before it gets too late. All right, so I know some of you guys will get mad at me because you're loyalists. Omar, knock it off. You better not be a loyalist. I'll have to come over there and spank your ass so that you can learn to be a patriot of the United States of America. Robert, how you doing, my man? I see you. I think I say hi already. Thank you guys for the mute. Gregory, first Donald Trump, Blue Heart. Gregory, are you sad? Gregory is sad. Let's see where we go. Final Bill, already say hello. DeCito, already say hello. Omar Slyman says, I'm poor. You're only poor in your mind, sir. Dexter, how you doing? Welcome, Dominic Caro. You better be nice today, people. Let's see what else we got. Dennis, I'm gonna nickname you Pancho Villa. It's okay, I guess. But I am not half black. Pancho Villa was half black. Let's see. Trump only sleeps 4 hours a day. Always been that way. He doesn't smoke or drink alcohol either. Well, I'm telling you what, Cray. I am trying this new. It's not like a real diet. I'm just trying some vitamins, and I'm trying some natural remedies to help on this and that, and we'll see. This is my. Wait, am I still on the first day? 1, 2. This is the second day that I'm back from Honduras. That's right, libtards. My American passport is legit. I said goodbye to ICE, and I said hello to ICE when I came back to the United States of America. So eat your hearts out. Let's see. Robert, I have heard from Trinity. She was with us earlier today. Let me make sure that if you guys are still typing, I'm never going to catch up with these comments. Let me go ahead and send her a message letting her know that we are live. She was with us earlier today. We're live, says. She has a lot of things on her plate, so she might not be able to get on. So I know that she's really, really busy, and she might not be able to hang out with us for that reason. Okay, so good. Yeah, sound is good. All right, good. All right, let's see what we got. Michael, Kid Rock tops iTunes charts over Bad Bunny even after Apple put 50 million into promoting Bad Bunny. That's, you know what? There's a spiritual fight, and we'll talk about this probably another day. But there's definitely a spiritual fight going on right now in our world. It has been for since the beginning of time, since the beginning of mankind. It has been a spiritual battle. Adam says, under 200 years, we went from a nobody country to the biggest world superpower history has ever seen. Did you know that when we got independent, when we separated from the British government, that the British government tried to block our route so that we wouldn't be able to trade with the other side of the world. And they thought that because we were nobody, that we would just cave in and collapse, and that they will come back in and retake over the United States of America. Obviously, it wasn't the United States of America completely, I think. I got to be checking my dates on that. But whatever we had as the United States of America, they underestimated us. They thought that we were garbage. They thought we were nobody. And, well, we have proved them wrong, haven't we? And it seems like now, after 250 years, after all the struggles that we have gone through in our country's history, we still have a lot of people that for some reason don't appreciate all the things that we have been through because they don't want to be patriots. They don't want to protect this country. And I'm going to tell you, as an immigrant, I can tell you, nobody leaves a country where for me, for example, I didn't leave my country because I wasn't happy there. I mean, I was a minor when I was brought here. But I'm going to say this for those people who literally say that they have left their country of birth because of violence, because of poverty, because of all this bad stuff, and they come into this country and become part of the United States of America, and they still don't support legal immigration. They are not supporting defending this country. Why would you not support legal migration and abolish illegal immigration? Why would you not? This is the reason why you come to this country. Because it has protected itself. Because it has been fighting on the border, trying to get criminals out, trying to keep a count of how many people come into this country every year. You see, that's what makes America great. But the moment that we start giving up on that and we're trying to instead of assimilate to the system that we have here in the United States of America, instead of assimilating, we want to make our rules. And we want to bring anybody, any type of criminal. And it's so hypocritical because supposedly you left your country because of violence, because of crime. I love it when migrants always say, if it wasn't for migrants, this country wouldn't be what it is today. Well, Mexicans are the hardest workers. They built this country. Oh, well, Hondurans and Central Americans. I want to know why the hell the countries where they come from are not as great as the United States of America is. You tell me, what is the working success formula for the United States of America? Is it really that illegal immigrants come into this country because they're hard workers? The Mexicans are the hardest workers, and they are the ones that build this country on their back. Really, tell me exactly, how is Mexico doing? Tell me exactly, how is Honduras doing? How's Guatemala? How's Nicaragua? How's Salvador? How's Panama? How's Venezuela doing right now? You tell me, all these people that are hard worker, all these people that are making the United States what it is today, you tell me why the countries where they come from are shithole countries. The fabric of the United States of America, says Ilhan Omar, with their low IQ Somalians. Tell me, why is it that you call yourselves the fabric of the United States of America while mooching off the government on welfare? How is that? Now, I want you to understand, there's nothing wrong with people being on welfare. I get that. It's there for help. Shoot, I'll take welfare. Let me get some food stamps. Let me get some food stamps. Let me get some free food. Absolutely. I'm down for it. There's no shame on it. As long as you're working, you're doing something to provide something for this country. Go on. Have fun. But don't come to this country and try to change it and make it into a third world country. All right. Let's see who else we got. David. Welcome, David. David Kishline. Manuel, vacation was fantastic. I miss my family, of course, as always. Thank you for asking. Let's see. Gregory Felch's Donkeys. Yeah, I figure, brother. I already know what that means. Dennis, I'm going to call you Pancho Villa. I already said that. You like how I said that in English? Hey, Catwalk, how are you? Welcome to the chat. Fatal. Fatal Lane. We're just going to call you Fat. How are you? America the Beautiful. Yes, Juan Alberto. ¿Qué pasa, muchacho? We left because drug lords and city officials tried killing my father. There you go, man. And this is why we have to defend this country. Viva Guatemala. Yes. YM, you're welcome. Yes, Viva Guatemala. I'm going to tell you something. I love all of our Latin countries. Don't get me wrong. If I point out some of the things that we have bad, like, for example, when I was doing my life in Honduras, a lot of people, oh, look at that third world country shithole. You know what? I always mention, yes, it is a third world country shithole, but it's my third world country shithole. And I think that it's fantastic because there are a lot of things that we can do, of course. See, I believe on calling it as it is, but I also believe that if you see it, well, let's make a change. If it's good, if it's not broken, don't try to fix it. There's nothing to fix. Forget about it. Just let it be. Protect the place that you came to find refuge on. That is my message. Protect the land where you find refuge on. Laws are made to maintain order. It's very interesting. 250 years. It's very interesting that we went into a war against the redcoats because of taxes, because of the way they were treating people. They were doing some bad stuff. But I find it very interesting that we are seeing, excuse me, that we are seeing Democrats going back and acting like the tyrants that we went to war for and became independent from. It is beyond me how President Donald Trump and Republicans, and I'm not going to say all of them. There's a lot of fake Republicans out there, okay? But it's beyond me how people don't see the truth right in front of their eyes. You have President Donald Trump, here we go, puts tariffs on the world because the trading in the world is not fair. It's unbalanced. See, because we have come from being nobody to being the most powerful nation in the world, people want to take advantage of us. Some because they're leeches. They're small potatoes. They can't make it on their own. So they want to take some of the stuff that we have. And then we have superpowers like Russia, like China. And they are jealous that we are better than they are now. So they are trying to divide us. They're using their own constitution, by the way, to make Chinese American citizens. They bring their pregnant Chinese women to this country, just like they do all over the world. They make kids in America. They make kids in America because they know that they will be automatic citizens, American citizens, because we are stupid enough to accept that. We have a Supreme Court that is stupid enough to accept that illegal immigrants can have American citizens simply for being born in this land. Our forefathers were the stupidest people by not making sure that the Constitution was better written. I'm not saying it was easy, But the fact that I see a bunch of people today and throughout history that are actually now American citizens and they're destroying our country. I blame the people who were in writing the Constitution. It needs to be changed. It needs to be changed. It needs to be amended, is the word. Amended. Amended. That's my ranting for today. That's my ranting for today. All right, let's see. Tanya, how are you? Welcome. Roberto Vasquez, Cheyenne Chevrolet. I don't know what you're saying there, but welcome. The Riddler, mandatory Bible study in all classrooms. That's a bit much. But I do believe that at least the Ten Commandments should be on there. I think that the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag is fantastic. I think there should be more civics. There should be more people, especially sons of migrants. They should be taught to respect and honor the American flag. For if they are not taught to respect and honor, or they don't want to do anything of that, they can get the hell out of the United States of America. Very simple. Very simple. Any country that does not fight for their people will lose their country. Any country that does not have borders is not a country. This is what we have learned throughout history. This is what we got today. Clip 2, you became a successful country because you imported talent from all over the world. You all peoples are dumb. Here's the catch here, Clips. Now, I'm giving you all a chance to say some stuff. Here's the catch. And you said it. And this is exactly what we want. What we want is talent. Migrants that have something good to give us, to this country. That's the beauty of America. Absolutely, 100%. I agree that we are successful because we have imported a lot of talent. Now, the talent that we have imported, that we have vetted, of course, we want doctors, we want engineers, we want people that are going to do something great for this land and that will keep it great above other countries. But what do we have? We have Indians, and I'm talking about Indians from India. These are Hindu people. The Indians that come in here with fake diplomas, doctorate diplomas, nursing diplomas, fake, hundreds of thousands of them, fake diplomas. They are being arrested as we speak right now in India for doing this. And this is the people that we have in our medical fields. And then you wonder why people are getting the wrong kind of medicine in them. Why people have to poke you 10 times in the arm to find your vein. Because people are not really talented enough to get their education or certification. There's a lot more. There's a lot more than just what I just said. And I'm sure that you guys can find that out. But the fact is, every year we got approximately 1 million people that we accept into this country because we believe that these people are honest people, they're hard workers, they're vetted, we got their health information, we got their history, they're not criminals, blah, blah, blah. That is what we want. Why do you want to come to the States? Well, I'm a doctor and I would like to practice over there and I'd like to be able to study and increase my knowledge. And all right, here we go. Let's go ahead and get this guy vetted. Let's see if everything he says is true. Let's match everything that we said, and then let's go with it. That, my friends, I'm okay with. I am okay with that. That's the kind of migrants that we want. But we don't want to get the Nicaragua migrants. We don't want the MS-13 migrants. We don't want the 18th migrant. We don't want stupid-ass gangbangers on the street. Ignorance is bliss. You got a lot of black people. You know, I find it very interesting that Americans are ignorant in some way because, you know, when I'm in Honduras, whether you're black, brown, light shade of brown, white, whatever ethnicity or pigmentation of skin color you have, it doesn't matter. You still got to be vetted. You still got to check. You still got to qualify. They're not going to hire you because you're black. They're not going to hire you because you got light skin. No. You got to have a record. You got to have an education. You got to be a hard worker. And if you qualify, you'll get the job. That's how it works. in Honduras. Now, whether there's Haitians, whether there is Trinidad and Tobago blacks, whether there's African blacks, whether there's blacks from Jamaica, it doesn't matter where they're from. In Honduras, there is no DEI. You either qualify or you don't. It's very simple. But here in America, people don't understand. People are so ignorant. People are so... Roberto Vasquez, shut the hell up. You know Trinidad was real. Don't be stupid, bro. Don't do that. Don't do that. You have been very good for a while now. Black History Month is racist. Stop supporting that stupidity. Blacks that are American citizens are American. And that's it. American. Get that through your head. American. Blacks are just as good as anybody else that is an American citizen in this country. You guys cannot come in here. Two things that you cannot come at me. There's more than two, but two things that you will not be able to come at me with is this boring victim mentality about immigration or racism. You can't beat me on that. And you will never be able to convince me. And I say F them all if they don't like it. That's how I feel about it. People want to come in here and challenge me on... See, that's racist, man. Black History, why are they being consolidated to 1 month? Are they not special enough to be just considered Americans? I think so. You know who would agree with me? Morgan Freeman. That's right. BCJ, you're from India, so who gives a shit what you think? We don't care about your opinion. Just for that, just for the hell of it, I'm bored. I'm going to put you in 10-minute timeout. All right, behave. Go to the corner and think about what you did wrong in this chat. No spamming. No spamming. By the way, we just found out that that Kid Rock made a lot more than Bad Bunny. Apple spent, what, $50 million to put Bad Bunny on there, and Kid Rock still outperformed him, hands down. Absolutely. All right, Charlie, welcome. Welcome to the chat, even though you are a moron for supporting Bad Bunny. Juan Alberto says, I mean, would you want the least qualified person running the control tower at your local airport? Bro, that's what I'm talking about. Juan Alberto, and I'm sure I'm happy that you are in my channel, my friend. You got brains and, you use common sense. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and start with this right here. This is how I know DEI is horrible. And you guys may have seen this already. And this is what I finished my day today earlier. Coyotes in the house. Doom, how are you, brother? I see you, man. How come you guys are not members? It's easier for me to see you guys with colors. Plus, you guys are supporting me monthly, and I appreciate that. Hey, listen, if you don't want to have a color on you, we're not being racist. This is just members become green and blue. That's how it works. And it's harder for me to see the names unless you have a green or blue. So this guy he's asking, North Carolina sheriff stumped over a question about branches of government. How can you be a sheriff? How can you be serving anywhere in office and serving any position in this country and not know the 3 branches of government? I just don't understand. I just don't understand. Every high schooler should know that. Every middle schooler should know that. Oh, man. Samuel, it's okay. You're all on the other side of the world. I get it. Sorry, there's some history there between us and England. But don't worry, we still love you. All right, let's take a listen to this first clip.
Are you aware of how many branches of office? My colleague made reference that there are constitutional divisions amongst responsibilities between us and you. What branch of government do you operate under?
Mecklenburg County.
That's not a branch of government.
What branch of government do you operate under, Sheriff?
Constitution of the United States.
Correct. That is what establishes the branches of government. I'm asking which branch you fall under.
This is a sheriff.
Mecklenburg County. I'm a duly sworn Mecklenburg County sheriff. We answer to the people of Mecklenburg County.
This was not where I was anticipating getting stuck.
You want to know why we have criminals on the street? Look at the sheriff.
Are you aware of how many branches of government there are?
No.
Puerto Rico has his own governor. Puerto Rico is not a state. Puerto Rico is a territory. Of course, they have their own president. Now, because they're American citizens, I get it. They fall under President Trump's leadership, which actually some of them don't. But if you go by the territory, they are a territory of the United States of America, and they have their own governor. As a matter of fact, let me put it to you this way. They're not actual presidents, and I think President Trump made a mistake by saying that. But the fact is that these territories that are not states, okay, even though Guam is given citizenship, American Samoans don't get citizenship, and it's a good thing because they can conserve their traditional culture, and they won't be forced out like Hawaiians did when they became a state. But every governor, if they were to separate from the union, they would be the president. A governor is the president of that particular territory or state. That's just how it works. Guess what other name is given to the governors for state governors? Commander-in-Chief. Who's the Commander-in-Chief of the United States of America? The President of the United States of America. Who has control of the National Guard for each state? Of course, the President has access through certain means and ways. But in reality, the National Guard responds to the Commander-in-Chief of that state. That's their president. That's the Commander-in-Chief. Don't get so hung up with the titles. Forget about it. You know what he's talking about. He's talking to the leader of Puerto Rico, talking to the leaders of Guam. He's talking to the leaders of those territories. So, come on. Don't be stupid. Don't just, if he made a mistake, so what? I know what he's talking about, okay? So, there's that. Stop being ignorant. Don't be caught up on the dumb things, okay? If Washington State was to separate from the Union, the governor would be the president of that Washington State, Washington country. That's how it works. Every governor is like a president for their state. They just happen to have a primary president above all of them, okay? I hope that helps. Let's go back to the DEI hire here. Sheriff.
Okay. For the sake of debate, I will move on and say there are three branches of government: legislative, executive, judicial. Of those three, which do you believe you fall under?
I believe I fall under the last one.
Would you say it to me?
Judicial.
Okay. You are incorrect, sir. You fall under the executive. You made reference earlier that you're a constitutional office. My colleague made reference that there are constitutional divisions amongst responsibilities between us and you. What branch of government do you operate under?
So the DEI hired sheriff, he thought judicial. He thinks he's a judge. he doesn't know it's the executive branch, but that's all right. We got a lot of libtards that don't know that either. They don't even know what the branches are of government. And it's okay. It's all right. We're not going to hate on that. All right. First of all, we're going to go to our most current information here. And this is going to be Kristi Noem giving us an update. I already have it set up for you guys to listen to. This is from Fox. Live now from Fox. Okay, just so that you guys know. Well, actually, it's on the screen already, so you guys can see it.
Try to make sure that doesn't blow away.
Get all the police sirens in the back for dramatic effects.
We got everybody? Okay, good. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here. I'm Kristi Noem, the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. And I also want to thank Chief Banks for being here with me today. He's the chief of the border and has given us excellent leadership in making sure that we're making America safe again and that we're upholding our laws in this great country. I also have with me Diane, who's the director, and I want to thank her for her leadership. Sydney's over here as well has been imperative in making sure this port of entry is run safely and that we are interdicting drugs like you see in front of you here today and getting them off of our streets so that they don't poison our next generation of Americans. We do have Sheriff Ken Jones is here with us today. I want to thank him for his partnership. A key to our success at the Department of Homeland Security is making sure that we're partnering with our local law enforcement and doing our operations together to make sure that we're keeping our communities safe. We have Port Director Rosa Hernandez who's with us. She's the leader here at Otay Mesa and Tecate Ports of Entry. And I want to give a warm welcome and a thanks to all of our law enforcement that are here today. Just their willingness to take an oath to secure our country, to uphold the law and make sure that it's applied fairly is an incredible, powerful testimony to their kids of this next generation that will step up and serve in their footsteps. Your leadership and the hard work of these law enforcement officers have helped President Trump deliver the most secure border in American history. And they're helping us win the fight against fentanyl and saving countless lives. In fact, we were just here touring the vault that is so important to making sure that we're interdicting these drugs and keeping them off of our streets and getting them away from cartels and dangerous criminals to make sure that we're destroying them before they destroy lives. But also right here in front of you, just in this bin in front of you, you see enough lethal doses of fentanyl that would kill 10 million Americans if it were to be allowed to come into our country, be trafficked, and poison our people. For 4 dark years under Joe Biden, we saw violent criminals, murderers, gang members, terrorists, rapists, pedophiles, and human smugglers invade this country. Drug traffickers brought dangerous narcotics into our country and poisoned our people and tore our communities apart. But the American people put President Trump back into office. They removed criminal, illegal aliens from our communities, they've stopped the cartels, and they've stopped the flow of these dangerous drugs. And what the men and women of the Department of Homeland Security have done is a testimony to President Trump's leadership and to these law enforcement officers' dedication. For 9 straight months, U.S. Border Patrol has released 0 illegal aliens into the United States. With fewer people that cross illegally, we make sure that our southern border apprehensions were much lower than during the Biden administration. In fact, 93% lower than during that administration. President Trump has cut off the flow of trafficking down at the southern border, and just of fentanyl, we've seen a decrease of 56% drop in fentanyl coming into this country. The vault that we've toured today holds 188,218 pounds of seized illicit drugs. That inventory includes over 100,000 pounds of meth, 59,000 pounds of cocaine, and 7,400 pounds of fentanyl. In other words, that vault holds more than 1.7 billion lethal doses of narcotics, of fentanyl and cocaine. All of these narcotics were interdicted by U.S. Customs and Border Protection in the San Diego area. That's 1.7 billion lives that are saved because of the work that they do. The vast majority of these drug seizures happen at the port of entry, and the majority of drug seizures along the southern border happen at this port of entry. Those drug seizures are incredible to what they do to save American lives. Now, the men and women here at Otay Mesa are heroes who work around the clock to make sure that they're keeping Americans safe. Fentanyl has killed countless Americans who still should be here with us today. In fact, I've met with many parents who've lost children to fentanyl poisoning. Americans like Greg Swan, who the first time I met him told me about his son, Drew, who died from fentanyl poisoning at the age of 24 in 2013. In fact, Greg is one of the co-founders of Fentanyl Fathers, fathers who've lost their children because of that dangerous drug that was running everywhere and running rampant throughout our country. Also, I met Rebecca Kisling, who lost both of her sons. She lost her 20-year-old son, Caleb, and 18-year-old Kyler to fentanyl poisoning on the same day in 2020. There's far too many stories of that happening. In fact, 1 in 3 Americans know someone that has died from fentanyl poisoning. That shouldn't happen in the greatest country on earth, and President Trump gets up every single day to make sure that it doesn't happen. Thanks to him and to the men and women of CBP, we're winning the fight against fentanyl. Now, President Trump has called the cartels the ISIS of the Western Hemisphere, and he's right. The cartels traffic, they torture, they behead human beings, and they enrich themselves and profit off of American deaths. And that's why President Trump took action and designated them as foreign terrorist organizations on day one. Today, the men and women of the Department of Homeland Security are on the front lines of the fight against the cartels and the drugs poisoning our country. And we are winning. And while we stop threats from coming into our country, we can't forget about the ones that are already in our borders. Right now, in prisons and jails across California, ICE has lodged detainers on over 33,000 criminal illegal aliens. Instead of honoring these detainers against criminals who've trafficked drugs and committed crimes across the American people, Governor Newsom and California's sanctuary policies have released over 4,500 criminal illegal aliens back onto the streets to create more victims that will harm more Americans. We need him to work with us and these local law enforcement and community leaders and elected officials here in California to protect Americans, to make sure that we're interdicting more of these drugs before they poison more Americans. And we need them to work with us to help make sure that we're keeping our law enforcement safe. Our ICE officers and CBP officers are facing a 1,300% increase in assaults against them, a 3,200% increase in vehicular attacks against them, and an 8,000% increase in death threats against them. On January 23rd, an illegal alien here at the San Diego Sector Border Patrol attacked a law enforcement officer, hit him in the head with a rock, left him lacerated, bruised, and bleeding. He was hospitalized, but his assailant did escape. That attack was the 7th recorded assault on a Border Patrol agent in San Diego since October. Law enforcement officers take an oath. They pledge to protect citizens, and they work hard to uphold to the truths that our founders created this country on. In the Declaration of Independence, our founders pledged their lives, their fortune, and their sacred honor to keep people safe, so that fellow Americans and our children could live in freedom, that they could live in safety. And that's the same pledge that our law enforcement officers take each and every day. They deserve our gratitude. They deserve our thanks because their job never ends, and they keep working every single day to make sure that Americans are safe, that they're protected from criminals that would not just traffic them and their children, but also traffic these drugs in to kill our next generation. I want to thank you all for being here, and I have all the confidence in the world of the law enforcement standing here today to continue to do their work, to protect Americans. And with that, I want to introduce Chief Banks to come up and share a few words with you as well. Chief?
Thank you, Madam Secretary. As the Secretary said, my name is Michael Banks, and I'm the Chief of the United States Border Patrol. I want to highlight something that the Secretary just shared with you. Enough fentanyl in front of me to kill 19 million Americans. That's in one location across the entire southwest border. As you go across the southwest border, you continue to see these type of seizures. And I'll talk about why we're seeing these type of seizures. Under the Biden administration, every Border Patrol agent was forced off the line, left the border wide open, and we're doing mass processing of illegal immigrants into the cities and into this country. When President Trump came back in on day one, a catch and release ended. The United States Border Patrol has not released a single illegal alien in 9 months, and that's a record we're very proud of, and we're going to continue pushing forward. But under the leadership of President Trump and Secretary Noem, we've been able to get the most secure border we've ever had in this country, and we're not done. We're going to keep pushing until it's 100% secure. But what does that mean for these drugs that you see sitting in front of us? What that means is the thousands of OFO officers that were pulled away from port of entries and sent out to the border to help Border Patrol agents process millions of illegal aliens are now returned to their port of entries where they can do more inspections, they can look for more narcotics, they can operate the equipment and technology that this administration has given them, and that's why you're seeing this massive increase. What you should be concerned about is how much narcotics got through in 4 years when we had little to no OFO officers down here able to do their job because they were forced to come out and process millions of illegal aliens and release them into the country alongside the Border Patrol. I'm going to pass it off to Diane Sabatino, the Executive Commissioner of Customs and Border Protection. But thank you.
Good afternoon, really, and thank you, Secretary Noem, for being here with us today, and Chief Banks also for your great partnership in CBP. We're really grateful for the opportunity to highlight the work of our frontline personnel, the work that interdicting these narcotics every day to secure our borders and protect our communities. What you just heard from Secretary Noem reflects our mission to secure the border at ports of entry, frontline personnel applying their training, the intelligence, and technology to keep dangerous narcotics out of our communities. It's demanding work. The men and women who carry out this mission do so with professionalism, often under incredibly challenging conditions. It's never boring here in Otay Mesa, and their commitment makes a real difference to the outcomes that you see right in front of you today. And as the Secretary mentioned, our success reflects joint enforcement across CBP and aligns with the administration's priorities. Strong enforcement to ensure border security and support for the people who are the backbone of the mission that we're responsible for. And the Office of Field Operations continues to work on key initiatives, including obtaining advanced information for shipments and travelers, modernizing processing systems, and investing in technology that allows us to operate effectively. All of these efforts really support our most valuable resource, which is our frontline personnel. That includes our CBP officers, our Border Patrol agents, our import specialists, and our agriculture specialists. And the One Big Beautiful Bill Act represents a generational investment in our border security mission. Funding from the Act is going to allow CBP to expand capabilities such as non-intrusive inspection technology and responsibly integrate artificial intelligence, machine learning into the work that we do. And more importantly, the Office of Field Operations is going to be able to hire more than 5,000 CBP officers to bring here to the ports of entry again, to identify more narcotics, interdict, and to disrupt the cartels. Our border security mission is national security, and our efforts are never going to stop. And we're proud to be here supporting this critical work. So thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you, Diane, and thank you, Chief Banks, as well. With that, we'll open it up to any questions that you may have. Yes. Well, what I would say is that we are extremely grateful for the partnership that we have with local law enforcement partners like the sheriff over here. He has been a fantastic partner with us in getting these drugs interdicted before they get onto our streets and kill Americans, and not just Californians. They would be trafficked all over the country. What I would say is I hope that Governor Newsom will partner with us more, that he would work with us to honor our detainers. You heard me earlier in my statement say that there's 33,000 people that are in California jails that have committed crimes against the American people. Before they are released back out onto our streets, give them to us so that if they're criminal, illegal aliens, we can return them back to their home countries so that there aren't any more victims in this country. We shouldn't be letting people stay in this country to commit more crimes when they haven't come here the right way. So many Americans fought to come here from other countries the right way and become citizens and believe in the freedoms and the liberties we stand for. I would invite Governor Newsom to partner with us to make sure that those criminals are removed and that we continue to keep our streets safe. Well, they're obviously expressing their First Amendment rights, and we welcome that. As long as they do so peacefully, I think it's a wonderful thing. Yes. Well, listen, I'll never give you details or give you an explanation on law enforcement activities. I don't want to put our law enforcement officers at risk by exposing some of the planned operations that they may or may not have. But what we are focused on, and I'll tell you as far as the Department of Homeland Security and ICE and CBP, is targeted operations, going after specific individuals that are a threat to public safety, individuals that have committed crimes either here or in another country that are dangerous to stay out on our streets. We don't want more victims in this country. We want to make sure that those criminals are removed from our streets and that we're returning them back home to their home countries when they're brought to justice. So beyond that, those targeted operations, we won't talk about the details of. Yes. Are you talking about the economic impact? You know, what I would say is we welcome the opportunity to partner with community leaders. If they feel that in their city or in their community that the individuals who live there, the citizens, could be better served by a partnership with us, we would love that. We would love to work with them to make sure that public safety is a #1 priority, that people feel safe in their communities, they can go to their jobs, they can go to school, and know that the laws will be upheld, they'll be respected, and that we'll work together to keep them safe. Yes. Yeah. I think you're asking about detention facilities and the standards in it. Federal standards at our detention facilities are the highest that there are in this country. In fact, we have a higher level of status than many states or local communities have at their jails or detention centers. So we're proud of the fact that every single individual, when they come, that they're well taken care of, they receive food and medical care, and then we return them as quickly as they can back to their home countries if they are being held. The one thing I would point out is that every single individual that's in that detention facility is given the opportunity to go home to their home country. If they decide that day that they want to go home, we'll give them $2,600 and a plane ticket and take them back home. So it's their choice on if they want to stay there or not. Are you talking about our funding bill? We're concerned about the Department of Homeland Security not being funded. In fact, I think it's the wrong message to send to the world at this point in time. When you think about it, every other portion of the federal government has been funded except Homeland Security. That's telling the rest of the world the Democrat Party doesn't think that protecting America is safe. It's the wrong message to send. They keep talking about the fact that they want ICE's operations to be impacted, but only 11% of that bill is ICE. The rest of it is FEMA, which is responsible for disaster response, for protecting our critical infrastructure. If we had some kind of an attack or a terrible disaster that hit our country, FEMA is the agency that's responsible for running our government, for stabilizing our country. And the Democrat Party is choosing not to fund FEMA and put us in jeopardy in that situation. The other things that wouldn't be funded is TSA. The security at all of our airports is in jeopardy because they've refused to fund the Department of Homeland Security. The TSA, those officers that show up and check your bags, they screen individuals on if they're safe to get on airplanes or not, they won't be paid. After Friday, they won't be paid and won't receive their paychecks. And I hear people talk about the fact, well, they're exempt employees, they're expected to still show up. How long would you continue to show up for a job that you're not being paid for? In fact, these TSA employees just went through a 43-day shutdown where they weren't paid. How often do you expect these good patriots to keep showing up and to do their job knowing that their salaries won't be taken care of and their families' bills won't be taken care of? We fund the Secret Service. The Secret Service has responsibility to protect the most powerful people in the world. We also fund the Coast Guard. When you talk about the Coast Guard right now is keeping rivers open on the East Coast so that critical food and energy sources can get to our largest cities. The Coast Guard is out there breaking ice on the Hudson River, the New York Harbor, the East River, and keeping that ice, the rivers open so that we can get fuel and propane and fuel and food to New York and to Boston and to cities that rely on that. What you're saying by not funding the Coast Guard is that the Democrat Party doesn't think it's important that people eat or that they stay warm, or that our national security is protected. So this is a dangerous situation that we're in, that the Democrat Party has chosen to shut down the department that was created after 9/11. This department was created recognizing that we are vulnerable to terrorist attacks and that American homeland needs to be funded and focused on keeping us safe within our own borders. We have all responsibility for cyber operations and funding and going after terrorists who would attack our critical infrastructure, our electrical grid, our water systems, that would come in and hack into our intelligence agencies and our national security operations. The Department of Homeland Security has the agency that's responsible for stopping those threats and going after those bad actors. The Democrat Party is choosing not to fund them and making us very vulnerable to those terrorists being successful here in our homeland. I hope that they will come to their senses, recognize that the American people need to come first, and have a policy discussion that we should be having on a policy bill in regards to any reforms that they want to see. Last question. I heard you ask about Operation Metro Surge and CBP and ICE, and what was the 287G? Now we're still working on 287G agreements that would happen with local law enforcement, sheriff, city police. We would love to have that kind of an agreement with the Minneapolis Police Department or with sheriffs in Minnesota. I know that some of the operations in Minnesota are changing, but we're going to continue to stay focused with our investigators through the Homeland Security investigations on the fraud that's been going on. On making sure that those individuals there are working to get to the bottom of the billions of taxpayer dollars that were stolen and funneled out of this country for nefarious reasons. So, we're grateful that we've found some agreement on what we can do to try to work together. We're looking to formalize those to make sure that we can bring peace and safety to the Twin Cities. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it. Have a great
Woo! Enough with the sirens. That was torture. I'm not going to lie. Sorry about that, my fellow patriots. All right, here is, I was going to show you a picture that I cut out of Pam Bundy bone, but this is what I found. There you go, my friend. There is Pam Bundy. It looks like she has dirty blonde hair, but it looks like her actual natural hair is brown, and then she has blonde streaks added on there. And then she just bleached her hair from there on. Plus, that baby she's holding, the hair looks dark. So, sorry, sir. I am sorry to bust your bubble. It is what it is, my friend. It is what it is. It is what it is. All right? I had to find it for you. I'm just saying, I had to find it for you. There you go. All right, I do my research, and if I am wrong, I'll admit it, but according to that photo, it looks like Pam Bundy was a brunette with blonde high streaks. You can tell by the eyebrows, unless she also colored the eyebrows brown on purpose. All right, there's that. That was the thing right there, but we do have, let's see, do you guys want me to jump straight into Bone, you can put a red hair, whatever hair color you want. That's the beauty of women, right? If you like brunettes, you tell your wife to become a brunette. If you like blondes, you tell your wife to be blonde. Me, my wife is Samoan. They don't have blonde hair. They don't have red hair. They got black hair. That's the color I want to see on my wife, except for some wisdom white hairs. That tells me that she is growing old with me, and I'm okay with that. But if she did want to dye her hair to look younger, I'm okay with that as well. All right, you guys want to hear a little bit of CNN, or you want me to jump straight into Tom Homan? I'm trying to give you guys a choice because what we're doing is we are listening to news, but we're also reviewing. You know how I do on my channel. You guys will get a piece of me. I will go on my rants and tell you how I see, how I feel, what I believe. And then a lot of time, no, Omar. No blue hair. Oh, I thought you were saying you want blue hair. Yeah, definitely not blue hair. None of these stupid ass hair colors. Try to keep it as natural as possible. Okay. Nobody has no Punky Brewster hair. Okay. Bone says, Dennis, I'm not a leftist cockroach. Don't talk to me like that. Bone, it's all right, brother. It's all good. No worries. You better not be drunk and talking to me serious. You better be joking, putting them capital letters on me. I have to block your ass out for a couple of days, put you in time out so that you learn to respect the Dennis Herrera show. Hey, listen, man, I don't make the rules. I didn't. Hey, listen, whatever hair color she wants to put on, man, it is what it is. Let's see here. What do we got? All right, we got one Tom Holman. They have an attitude. Ray says, didn't mean to hit a nerve with that senior citizen statement. Don't know what happened there. Red Hood Forever says, whoa, Bone, slow your roll, Holmes. See, there you go, man. You gotta, you know what I'm saying? You gotta stay in the lane, you know what I'm saying? You gotta stay in the lane. We are all a family in this chat. And if you don't want to be family, we can be friends. If you don't want to be friends, then it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that either. Let's see. What else we got? Skill tree. They said they have a... Okay, I got 1 vote. I'm not drunk. Just watch your effing attitude. My attitude. This is what the Dennis Herrera show is all about. My attitude. Bone, I'm surprised. Something. Did you forget your medicine? You're talking back too strongly to me. See, Brian Reed is catching you. Even Red Hood, who just subscribed, is catching your attitude. You better just put a JK on your comment on there before people go off on you. But don't worry, I still love you. Bone, don't let me do it. Coyotes is everybody's against you right now, Bone. I'm trying to defend you, man. Don't make me do it. Don't make me do it. I will put your ass in timeout. I don't know, man. I don't know. Bonus is pretty chill normally. I don't know what the hell is going on. He must really have a big crush on Pam Bundy, which I don't care. I'm still going to speak my mind as I use my freedom of speech. And I would think that in my own house, I can speak the way I want to speak. And that what's wonderful, that this is my channel and I can speak however I want to talk. If you notice, like Raj is Indian. He's not from here. He's not from the United States of America. I'm giving them a chance. I'm very lenient with people. See, even cutting edge. Hey, sis, how are you, Miss Tan? Miss Tan in the house. Love having you here. I love my sisters coming in here, and I mean sisters as in black women, not just as regular sisters, but you know what I'm saying. There's like a double, standard for sister. Black sister and sister, which she fits both sister categories. Man, ADHD is crazy. You guys have no idea how hard it is to control it. But I tell you what, I've learned as an adult to control a little bit my ADD, HD, and people make fun of that because they don't have it and they don't know what it's like to have it. It's very frustrating. It really is. And I know you don't see it because I try to hold it in myself. But let's go ahead and go to the border czar, Tom Homan.
Good morning. I'm Tom Homan, the Board Czar for President Trump. I'm going to read a statement real quick. Then after I read the statement, I'll take questions. I'm here with Sam Molson, Director of ICE and Enforcement Mover Operations for the St. Paul Field Office, Stephen Schrenk, Acting Special Agent in charge for ICE Homeland Security Investigations, and Chris Kuhn, Deputy Chief Patrol Agent for the United States Border Patrol. I'm very pleased to report that this search operation and our work here with state and local officials to improve coordination and achieve mutual goals, as well as our efforts to address issues of concern here on the ground, have yielded the successful results we have came here for. The Twin Cities and Minnesota in general are and will continue to be much safer for the communities here because of what we have accomplished under President Trump's leadership. I previously shared with you before I got here. Before I even got here, I met with, I said I was going to meet with the governor, the AG, and the Mayor Fry, Mayor Herrera, and I've done all of that. I've also met with various police chiefs and sheriffs. And one thing we all had in common was the importance of ensuring and maintaining public safety. Overall, we made a lot of progress through extensive engagement, meeting with them and other key stakeholders. And it is expected that those engagements and discussions will continue going forward in order to enhance exchange of information and more coordination. As a result of this surge operation, we have greatly reduced the number of targets for enforcement action. And many criminal aliens have been arrested and taken off the streets, including murderers, sex offenders, national security threats, gang members, and other violent criminals. Just this week, ICE arrested a criminal alien with criminal convictions for rape, acts with a child under 14 years of age with force, lewd and lascivious acts with a child under 14. ICE also arrested 2 criminal aliens with criminal sexual misconduct convictions, among other violent criminals. Through targeted enforcement operations based on reasonable suspicion and prioritizing safety and security, ICE will continue to identify, arrest, and remove illegal aliens that pose a risk to public safety, like we've done for years. And our officers will carry out those duties with professionalism, integrity, and compassion, like we've done for years. We will enforce immigration law against all persons in the United States illegally. I want to say something about the various unfounded complaints I'm hearing about ICE enforcement operations. During the surge operation, ICE has not arrested anybody inside a hospital. We have not arrested anybody inside of a school, an elementary school. We have not arrested anybody inside a church. As a matter of fact, the only ones that disrespected the sanctuary of a church were the agitators that have been arrested and prosecuted, and so far we have 9 of them. However, those locations are not off the table. I said from day one, there's no sanctuary for a significant public safety threat or national security threat. But as far as those stories about ICE going into churches, arresting people in hospitals, it simply has not happened. And if you have a case where it happened, you let me know. Because all the digging I've done here, I can't find a single one. Under President Trump's direction, we have obtained an unprecedented level of coordination with law enforcement officials that is focused on promoting public safety across the entire state. While I don't agree with Governor Walz and Attorney General Ellis on everything, I appreciate the support the governor gives to state agencies who coordinate with us in a manner intended to promote public safety. And I appreciate the AG having an open dialogue with me. Early on, the first meeting I had, acknowledging that county jails may notify ICE of the release date of an inmate, just as long as they don't hold them past the time they would normally release them. We now have the ability to arrest criminal aliens in the safety and security of jails throughout the state at the time they're being released, like we've done in other states. I've also directed the strategic placement of officers in certain areas throughout the states that can respond quickly to sheriffs that want to release somebody and notify us. We need to be nearby so they don't hold them unnecessarily. So we worked on a strategic plan to reassign officers in those key locations. Arresting a public safety threat in the safety and security of a jail is safer for the alien, it's safer for the officer, and safer for the community. I think we all can agree on that. It requires less resources for at-large operations. It just makes sense. I'll say it again, as I've said many times, we are not asking local law enforcement to act as immigration officers. I don't want them to be immigration officers. We're the immigration officers. We just want them to be cops. We're asking law enforcement to coordinate with other law enforcement to help keep public safety risks out of the communities. We have also strengthened our existing coordination with the state to target and take custody of criminal aliens more efficiently and effectively. As a result of our efforts here, Minnesota is now less of a sanctuary state for criminals. And we are proud of the public safety threats we have removed from the criminal aliens out of this state. As I said in my first press conference a couple weeks ago, President Trump didn't send me here because the operations were being run and conducted perfectly. I came here to identify issues and implement solutions to improve our mission execution. Since that time, in order to improve target enforcement operation, I and my team here, we made personnel changes. We integrated BP with the ICE teams. We established a single unified chain of command structure. We strengthened joint intelligence and targeting capabilities. We deployed body cameras. We increased the footprint of internal affairs. We commuted zero tolerance for misconduct. President Trump also deployed me here to work with state and local officials to de-escalate the intense, volatile reactions and conflicts that have unfolded on the streets here between federal law enforcement and unlawful agitators. While working to course correct and improve how enforcement operations are being run and executed here, and even before I was sent up here, I've been saying over and over that forcibly assaulting, resisting, opposing, impeding, intimidating, or interfering with a federal law enforcement officer is a crime in violation of USC 111. It's not okay and will not be tolerated. Zero tolerance if you cross that line and put hands on a ICE officer. Not only is such activity unlawful, it is dangerous, and sadly we have seen tragic consequences, as well as adverse impacts on businesses and the communities here in the city. While the Trump administration supports everyone's First Amendment right to freedom of speech and assembly and to petition, it has to be done lawfully and peacefully. Because we will not tolerate unlawful actions committed by agitators who are just causing havoc. This is not the way to express your disagreement or try to reform federal laws. Go talk to your members of Congress if you want the laws changed in this country. Nor is doxing federal law enforcement personnel and their families, it's just not right. Enough is enough with this misguided, reckless, and shameful behavior. We don't want to see any more bloodshed. I don't want to see any more bloodshed. I pray every night for the safety of our law enforcement personnel and the safety of those in the community, whether you're here legally or illegally. I don't want to see anybody harmed. If you break the law, we're going to arrest you. We have already arrested more than 200 people for violations of USC 111. The U.S. Attorney's Office has already accepted many for prosecutions, and some are still pending. I have also received commitments from state and local law enforcement that they will respond if federal law enforcement is being impeded or assaulted. They will shut down unlawful agitator activity, including arresting agitators involved and seeing them follow through. And we're seeing them follow through on those commitments. We've seen this past weekend that the state and local law enforcement have taken action when it comes to public safety. And bless them for doing that. Since I have been here, I've repeatedly emphasized that the unlawful and violent agitator activity is unacceptable and must wind down as a condition for further drawdown of law enforcement personnel. I cannot remove law enforcement personnel while violence poses serious risk to our officers. I will not leave my officers in that position. It is worth knowing that in all my meetings and discussions since I got here, I've not heard one federal, state, local law enforcement, or judicial official, nor any member of the business or faith communities that I met with, say that ICE is an illegitimate agency that doesn't have a real mission. Quite the opposite. All I've heard is the acknowledgement that federal immigration laws passed by Congress do exist, and ICE has a legitimate responsibility to enforce those laws. ICE is a legitimate federal law enforcement agency. We're not out scouring the streets to disappear people or deny people their civil rights or due process. In addition to taking public safety threats off the street, ICE here in this state have located 3,364 missing unaccompanied alien children, children that the last administration lost and weren't even looking for. That's because of the leadership of President Trump, these children were located. As part of the de-escalation efforts, I have called on state and local officials these past few weeks to tone down the rhetoric and denounce unlawful activities being conducted by the agitators. We don't have to agree on everything, and we definitely do not. But we all agree that the lawlessness and chaos and disruption that is occurring on the street needs to end. I want to thank Governor Walz for his messages focusing on peace and his support for the Minnesota State Troopers to respond to unlawful situations that put federal officers and the public at risk. I also want to thank Mayor Frey for taking a public stance against agitators setting up barricades that block streets and endanger public safety, and for directing the police to take those roadblocks down. Additionally, I want to thank Police Chief Herrera, Sheriff Witt, and various other local law enforcement for their responsiveness and efforts to maintain law and order in the streets. We've seen a big change here in the last couple of weeks, and it's all good changes. I'm also pleased to report that we're seeing a notable decrease on unlawful agitator activity here in Minneapolis and overall throughout the state. This is great news for Minnesota communities that have been adversely impacted by the lawlessness and chaos on the street. We have what we call here QRFs, Quick Response Force, security teams, that get called out when ICE officers are out doing operations. They get into trouble, if agitators get out of control, if there's a danger and public safety is at risk, these QRFs respond to help these officers get off the X and get out of that situation. I asked today when I got here, I want to know what the QRF's call outs are, what their deployments are. I want to know every time a QRF is called out. The QRF deployments have dropped dramatically because we have less of that occurring, less of the agitator that cross that line. That is a good thing. That is a win for everybody, not just for the safety of law enforcement officers. It's a win for this community. With that, and success that has been made arresting public safety threats and other priorities since this surge operation began, as well as the unprecedented levels of coordination we have obtained from state officials and local law enforcement, I have proposed, and President Trump has concurred, that this surge operation conclude. A significant drawdown has already been underway this week and will continue through the next week. We have a lot of work to do across this country to remove public safety risk who shouldn't even be in this country, and to deliver on President Trump's promise for strong border security and mass deportation. Law enforcement officers drawn down from this surge operation will either return to their duty stations or be assigned elsewhere to achieve just that. We will continue to enforce Title VIII immigration law throughout this nation. Prioritizing national security threats and public safety risks makes sense. But I'll continue to say over and over again, if you are here in the country legally, you're not exempt from our immigration laws. If we encounter you, we'll take appropriate enforcement action. For those that say we are backing down from immigration enforcement or the promise of mass deportations, you are simply wrong. Look at the data. Record number of arrests and deportations under President Trump's first year, and we'll continue that effort. Prioritizing public safety threats and national security threats doesn't mean we'll forget about everybody else. We will take action on everybody else. That's just a stone cold fact. A small footprint of personnel will remain for a period of time to close out and transition full command and control back to the field office, as well as to ensure agitator activity continues to decline, and that state and local law enforcement continue to respond to ensure officer and community safety. Additionally, federal government personnel assigned to conduct criminal investigation into the agitators, as well as the personnel assigned here for the fraud investigations, will remain in place until their work is done. I will also remain on the ground for a little longer to oversee the drawdown of this operation and ensure its success. In closing, I want to thank the leadership and senior management that I've worked with for your efforts into these issues, determine deficiencies and challenges, present solutions, and implement improvements that will benefit how operations are run and executed nationwide. God bless the men and women of ICE, men and women of the Border Patrol. Appreciate everything you've done for us. Also, with sincere gratitude, President Trump and I want to thank the men and women of ICE and CBP and partner agencies who have been assigned here during Operation Metro Surge. You achieved a great success for the Minnesota communities. Thank you to your families as well, because I know they sacrifice also. Thank you, President Trump, for your vision, as well as your support and confidence in these brave, dedicated patriots that work hard to deliver on your strong commitment to law and order, public safety, prosperity for American communities. Today, we have the most secure border in American history. We are seeing record numbers of people being arrested and deported. Your promise to make America safe again is being played out every day on the streets of this country. I've said it many times. I worked for 6 different presidents, 10 different administrations. No one has done it better than President Trump. God bless this great country. I'll take questions now.
We'll take a couple questions, no follow-ups. I'll start off with Frankie.
Yep. Mr. Homan, as immigration enforcement continues across the country here in Minnesota as well, how do you hope to gain the trust of individuals here that have kind of been wary of seeing federal officers on the street, but let's say 6 months from now, we still have the office here, we still are enforcing immigration across the country. What do you hope things to look like, and what are you asking for the public?
Look, I just want people to look at the data on what this administration has done. You know, the number of public safety threats we removed from the streets across this country, that makes these communities safer. ICE has had an office here for decades. Before it was called INS, Immigration Naturalization Service. This footprint will remain here, and they'll continue to do immigration enforcement here. But as President Trump has said from day one, we're going to prioritize the public safety threats. Again, but prioritization doesn't mean forget about everybody else. That means if you have a criminal alien here and non-criminal here, the criminal always comes first because he's the biggest threat to the communities. We're going to continue to force immigration law. But we're going to get back to the footprint here, the normal footprint here. But there will be some security teams staying here, the QRFs, until we're assured that those agitators incidents either stay low or further decline. I'm not going to remove everybody out of the safety of our officers, but like I said, and Operation Metro Surge is ending. And in the next week, we're going to deploy the officers here in detail back to their home stations or other areas of the country that are needed. But we're going to continue to enforce immigration law. That's what the American people voted for. But it has to be a priority of criminals. And look, I hear all the hate about, you know, you should arrest everybody. Oh, we are. But we're prioritizing those who are the biggest threat to our community. The rapists, the murderers, the child molesters. That's the right thing to do. But I'll say it again. President Trump made a promise of mass deportation, and that's what this country's going to get. But it's smart law enforcement to do target enforcement operations. Now, I've heard people attack me using the word targeted. I sat for the last 2 months when I watched this operation, daily press briefings talking about targeted Title VIII operations. Nothing changed, other than we're going to make sure they're targeted and make sure we know who we're going for, what their immigration record, what's their criminal history. That comes first. But enforcement of Title VIII is not going to end. If you're in this country legally, you're not off the table. And I think we're proving that if you look at the data.
Mr. Homan, just had a question about the final number of arrests you had, and how many of those people arrested were those targeted security threats you were after?
I don't have that exact breakdown. I know we made over 4,000 arrests here. That is something the local field office can supply. I don't have the exact breakdown. But I can tell you, since I've been on the ground, they've been target enforcement arrests. I believe there were target enforcement arrests before I got here. What I did is create one chain of commands where everybody knows what everybody else is doing, and integrate operation command centers. There were some issues here, and we addressed those issues. But I'm not going to sit here and say anybody did anything wrong, and that they were unprofessional. I'm going to say there's some issues here. We fixed those issues. We've had great success with this operation, and we're leaving Minnesota safer. The surge is leaving Minnesota safer, Minneapolis safer, because of the cooperation we got with the counties and the state and local law enforcement responding to our needs. I'll say it again. It's less of a sanctuary state for criminals.
Yeah, sorry to go a little off topic here, but can you confirm that CPD actually hit a party balloon instead of a drone with a laser during the incident in El Paso? And why wasn't that action coordinated with the FAA?
I have no information on that. It's out of my league.
So we're going to keep the questions to Minnesota, the topic. Go ahead.
Mr. Homan, can you specify how many county sheriffs, local jails have agreed to work with you and honor ICE detainers?
I have not met one county jail that says no to us. They want to work with us.
Okay, we have time for one more. Go ahead.
Yes, hi, Mr. Homan. You talked about this unprecedented level of cooperation between local officials and yourself. Can you explain more what is changed now in terms of that cooperation from before?
Several things have changed. First of all, when the agents were out doing operations and the agitators got a hand and posed a public safety threat, not just to the officers but the communities, law enforcement response has been sporadic at best. I think at what you've seen now, what you saw this past weekend, is law enforcement is responding to public safety needs quickly. And people were arrested for violating city ordinances as far as when it, unlawful assembly and so forth. They come to assist us to make sure our officers, the person we have in custody, leave that scene safely. You've seen it this weekend, and I'm happy that the local and state was there also, that responded, and we haven't seen any incidents of them not responding since we have these agreements in place now. As far as the jails, we got more cooperation, more jails than they had before we got here. And that's a good thing. We're having conversation with the state, and state already accepted our detainees, but we're moving further on our agreements for the state. So the cooperation we have here is going to keep this city safer. It's going to keep our agents safer. Arresting public safety threats in a jail just makes sense. If you look at, I was talking to my chief of staff this morning on the way over here. I see that most people on the other side, I say the other side, they say that, this argument with Democrats versus Republicans, whatever. But most of the people, even Democrats, are saying they want public safety threats to be the focus. They think public safety threats, illegal aliens, should be addressed. But to say that and not let us into jail, you can't square that. I just noticed the governor of New York, my home state. I've heard her say that she believes public safety threat, illegal aliens should be the focus of ICE. But to have a press conference last week to lock us out of the jails and end 287G agreements, how do you square that? You can't. So again, prioritization of public safety threats don't mean we forget about everybody else. We're going to enforce the immigration law, and we're going to have a mass deportation. President Trump promised that, and we're committed to that. However, it shouldn't be a partisan issue that you arrest public safety threats in the safety and security of a jail. Releasing public safety threats back in the public is just stupid. And I've been arguing this for years. And I hope Congress takes action on sanctuary cities and sanctuary states. It makes sense. If you think about it, even the argument I hear, well, victims and witnesses of crime that are in the country illegally want to feel safe to come to law enforcement and to report those crimes without fearing that this law enforcement agency is working with ICE. That's a bunch of crap. Because victims and witnesses of crime don't want the bad guy released in the neighborhood either. It's ridiculous. We want access to the person that you chose, the local jurisdiction chose, to lock in a jail cell. And we have that cooperation here now. It's the right thing to do, and it makes this community safer. This community is safer because we arrested 4,000 illegal aliens in this, over 4,000 illegal aliens here. Many of them public safety threat, not all of them. As I said, we're going to enforce immigration law, but this community is much safer because of President Trump's leadership and the men and women standing on this stage.
Thank you. That's all the questions we're going to take right now.
Now I want you to pay attention to the difference on the way, as you have heard Tom Homan answer some questions, and I think that everything that he said, it's really common sense. And I think that most people will agree with me. Now, what I want you to do is listen to the way the leftist, fraudsters, criminals actually talk. This is your favorite governor on the leftist side, Tim Walz, who is the biggest fraud in Minnesota. You want to talk about $50,000 from Tom Homan, and you want to ignore the elephant in the room. Well, why don't you tell me about the fraud from Minnesota, since you know so much more than anybody else, including judges and courts, etc., etc., etc. Here you go. Let's go ahead and take a listen to him, and you tell me what the difference is between us and them.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to start today expressing a deep sense of gratitude and a deep My fellow Minnesotans, over the past 6 weeks, the state of Minnesota and the people of this great state have endured an unprecedented federal invasion in all aspects of life. Our sense of normalcy was shook to the core. The trauma that's been inflicted, certainly across an immigrant community, but to every single Minnesotan, is unlike anything we've witnessed. We've been through challenges. We've been through natural disasters, we've been through COVID, but this is something that I don't think any state has ever experienced. And through that entire time, the dignity, the compassion, the love, the care, and the absolute determination to do what was right never wavered amongst Minnesotans, whether it was standing in minus 40 degrees temperatures or it was delivering food to a family that simply wanted to feed their children. Minnesotans never wavered. And for that, I will be forever grateful. I think it's probably safe to say the rest of the country will be forever grateful because they showed what it means to stand up for what's right, to stand up for the true principles of this country, to stand with the Constitution, and to stand with human decency. And so I want to note that the announcement today by Mr. Holman, we are cautiously optimistic, as we've said, and that this surge of untrained, aggressive federal agents are going to leave Minnesota. And I guess they'll go wherever they're going to go. But the fact of the matter is, they left us with deep damage, generational trauma. They left us with economic ruin in some cases. They left us with many unanswered questions. Where are our children? Where and what is the process of the investigations into those that were responsible for the deaths of Renee and Alex? So while the federal government may move on to whatever next thing they want to do, the state of Minnesota and our administration is unwaveringly focused on the recovery of what they did. And there will be many steps in this process, many answers that we still need to get and will pursue. But as we started earlier this week, one of the first things we can do and what we're focusing on today is what can we start doing on the economic recovery? The damage that has been done to our economy, specifically to small business owners, and even more specifically to immigrant small business owners, which for every other administration and for most of our history is the epitome of the American dream. Come to this country with nothing and build something to be proud of, build something that creates jobs, build something that creates this incredible diversity and a food scene across this state that is second to none, to entrepreneurship, to the work that they've done. Meeting a few weeks ago down at the Hmong Market, and a gentleman who came here and got a food stall, and 3 of his children are now medical doctors that went through American universities to become medical doctors to help make this state the best for health care. Those are stories we should be celebrating, not dangerous police chases through peaceful neighborhoods, not little boys in little backpacks being hauled away, and not mourning of parents and family for American and Minnesota citizens being killed on the streets. So, Minnesota, on behalf of not just this state but the country, thank you. That same energy now needs to be directed towards recovery, to finding ways that people have done during these challenging months to go forward. So I want to say this damage is still being assessed, but we do know, and you're going to hear from some folks, you're going to hear from Henry, you'll hear from Commissioner Verlick about where we're at on the front end of this, and we're going to be proposing a reinstitution of our Small Business Emergency Fund. It's what we used very successfully during COVID in the recovery, and the economic recovery that we saw in Minnesota that outpaced most of the rest of the country. We're going to be proposing a first-time $10 million one-time targeted loans, forgivable loans, that we know, and I want to be very clear, is a very small piece of this, but what I am going to challenge as we get ready to start here in a few days, the legislative session, this legislative session needs to be about recovery of the damage that's been done to us. I am also asking our team, and I'm going to make appeals to our federal delegation, the federal government needs to pay for what they broke here. There are going to be accountability on the things that happened, but one of the things is the incredible and immense costs that were borne by the people of this state. The federal government needs to be responsible. You don't get to break things and then just leave without doing something about it. So we're going to be asking the federal delegation to be investing and doing the things necessary. We have been in contact with federal leadership as a negotiation is happening right now on DHS funding and all of the things that we have an expectation, whether it be the investigations, whether it be going forward, no masks, because this, I got to tell you, one of the things, and I'm in contact with a lot of my colleagues, both at the federal level with the Senate and the House, but especially governors. I don't want these folks showing up somewhere else and doing this. So the changes that need to be made, the investments that need to come back, they need to show, they being the federal government and they being this administration, they need to do more. But I'm not going to hold my breath that the
Well, you're going to hold your breath on that. Thanks, Cutting Edge, for the 5. At J. Parr, compassion for the criminals is cruelty to the innocent. Being humanitarian does not mean get soft when you see evil. And I agree. Nayib Bukele said it best. People accuse him of putting 70,000 criminals in jail. And he replied by saying, I didn't put 70,000 criminals in jail. I liberated millions of innocent citizens of El Salvador. Think about that, morons, before you start defending and protecting criminals.
federal government's going to do the right thing. What I am going to do is I'm going to bet on the people of this state. And when we come into this legislative session, an expectation is this should be a bipartisan effort to protect these businesses, to protect what we have in Minnesota, to make changes here to improve this state. That should be very easy. And I think we've seen just some of the data surrounding this. There's very few things in this state that are more unpopular than what just happened to us. And there's few things that are more popular than recovery and supporting small businesses. So Minnesota, I know you've been through a lot. I know that we're still in the deep part of winter, but it's going to be 40 today here. The sun's going to be shining, probably a pretty good metaphor for spring is out there, summer over the horizon, but it's going to take a lot of work. So the expectation is of myself and our administration and the elected leaders, we get busy in this legislative session and start repairing the damage from this, start putting in safeguards that it doesn't happen again. And I think using the momentum that we have to celebrate, Minnesota's reputation has been pretty well solidified out there of caring, gritty people who back down to nothing and do the right thing for their neighbors. And I think now we continue that same attitude into this legislative session and into this recovery to help the folks standing behind me and thousands of others to get back what they do best, creating jobs, creating opportunities, creating a good life, being able to see their children go off to school and then celebrate by, watching a baseball game when things start up here this spring. We're not asking that much, but there's going to be work to do. You've got our pledge that we will do everything possible to make that happen. And today is a very small first step, but it is a concrete step that can make a difference. With that, I'm going to turn to Deed Commissioner Matt Verelek to talk a little bit about how we expect this program to work. And then we'll hear from Henry as a spokesperson for what the impact has been of a small business and what this can do to help. Commissioner Verelek.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Governor. And I would echo, first of all, the governor's sense of Minnesota pride right now for all that we've been through and the way we have stood up and also the optimism about the fact that we now may be at a transition point in this process, if indeed the federal presence will be winding down. But I want to emphasize what he said, that the economic impacts will be very long-lasting. It was maybe a couple of weeks ago or so that we stood up with some of these very same small business owners and highlighted there the massive negative economic impact that is resulting from the fact that a lot of workers don't feel comfortable showing up, a lot of customers don't feel comfortable showing up, and so we're seeing massive reductions in that foot traffic, massive reductions in revenue, et cetera. And so that's why it is so important, first of all, that the governor launched the Shop Local campaign as part of our Shop Local Stand Together effort in this month of February, and now this additional measure of the $10 million in targeted small business partially forgivable loans we think is another important step. And just to elaborate on that a little bit, the notion is that the loans would be 0% over 3 years. After 1 year, there would be an opportunity to seek 50% forgiveness on the basis of proving that you have had substantial impacts from the presence of the federal agents. The eligibility would be businesses with annual revenues between $200,000 and $4 million, so it's targeting small businesses, and the value of the loans between $2,500 and $25,000. And so, again, to acknowledge the point that the governor made, we know that the economic harms are far in excess of that, but this helps, we believe, alongside the other things that we've been doing and that others have been doing. Also would note that we're working with some private sector partners to seek reduction or even elimination of some of the fees that private sector service providers provide to small businesses. Not sure, if they will take us up on that, but that's one other effort we're doing. And we again applaud folks like the Minneapolis Foundation, Latino Economic Development Center, and others who have stood up private sector funds for small business relief, and in many cases those have been funded by some of our larger businesses in Minnesota, so an example of mutual support. All of those things we hope at least mitigate some of the harm that's been done here. And to give you an example of that harm, I mean, number one, last night I was out at a great place, Sabores Fresh Market in St. Paul, a grocery store that has a restaurant in the back. I had some great pupusas, but heard heartbreaking stories once again of what massive impact there has been. And likewise, we are going to hear that story from Henry, who runs a supermercado in St. Paul as well. So Henry, if you would please join us and share your story. Thank you.
He runs a supermercado as if he was in Mexico. It's called a market. But we're going to cut this short because it is 10 p.m. and I want things to move along fast. Let's do a little quick clip on Canadian news 12 hours ago from the Canadian Hub.
Talk of Western separation arrived on the steps of the Alberta legislature. Hundreds gathered to advocate for independence, while Indigenous groups stood in opposition. CTV's Kathy Lee on the growing divide.
A referendum on whether Alberta should separate from Canada is one step closer today. The province's election agency has approved a citizen-led petition to gather signatures on the issue.
Part of Canada, but unfortunately it's been this way for so long. Nothing's going to change. And especially with Carnian, it's going to get a lot worse.
Though economists have warned Alberta would be poorer without Canada, 24-year-old Ryan Cooper believes the cost of living would go down.
Speaker, I support Canada. I would like the Prime Minister to stand up and say that he supports Alberta and is on Team Alberta. And I'd like actually the members opposite to do the same. Why, in every opportunity they have to offer defense, they never stand up for Canada?
The Western provinces have officially announced a move that just ripped the ground out from under Canada and pushed the country into chaos. In one single announcement, over 10 million people were forced to question where they belong and who truly speaks for them anymore. Canada is now standing on a fault line, and the cracks are spreading faster than anyone can contain.
Agree that Alberta should remain in Canada. This is the question that we want on the referendum.
We need to be able to stand up.
When the leaders of Alberta, Saskatchewan, British Columbia, and Manitoba dropped that announcement, Ottawa didn't just blink, it froze. There was no warning, no next steps, and no referendum to soften the blow. In a single statement, the Western provinces declared that they are effectively joining the United States as states 51 through 54, and they are doing it immediately, not sometime in the future.
Feels good. I'm so proud of Alberta.
Ministers in Ottawa had phones ringing off the hook, lawyers pacing hallways, and MPs staring at screens in stunned silence. Parliament didn't argue. It just quieted, the kind of quiet that comes when you realize you've lost control of the narrative and maybe the whole country.
The sound reverberated off the stone walls of the Alberta Legislature building. Hundreds supporting the separatist movement gathered in Edmonton, denouncing federal policies.
We have been dominated by Eastern politicians and Eastern politics.
Protecting the land and the resources. When treaties were made, they were a sacred covenant between our people and the Crown, and they're not being honored today.
They seem to think that they can just do whatever they want.
Everyone watched that announcement like it was a bomb going off, and in many ways, it was. There was no talk of deadlines or negotiations. Nothing temperate, nothing diplomatic. It was brutal and direct.
For the first time, there is now a public timetable. So the plan is for the next 12 to 18 months to let the West decide its own fate. So we talked about this last week, but Alberta, Saskatchewan, and even British Columbia have formally coordinated their separation strategy.
Western Canada doesn't want to be dragged further down by a federal government that they say has ignored them for decades. This wasn't framed as political posturing. It was framed as survival.
Trump continues to pitch ideas regarding U.S. expansion and redrawing the world map, among them making Canada the 51st state.
Quietly for years, frustration had been simmering in the West, not just about pipelines and energy policies, but about identity, economy, and a sense that Ottawa's priorities are miles away from those of the Western heartland. So when the announcement came, it wasn't a plea. It was a severing of ties.
Now, if Saskatchewan or Alberta were simply to declare themselves independent states, and other states were to recognize them as independent states, and the government of Canada ceased to have any control over Saskatchewan, Alberta, it may be that de facto they would become independent states as a matter of international law.
So Alberta and Saskatchewan, they're oil and gas titans, but pipeline cancellations, tightening of regulations, tax grabs from Ottawa, they've hammered their economies. So we're seeing billions in energy revenues flow eastward, while Westerners see their jobs, their industries, and their ambitions blocked by liberal cities like Montreal, thousands of miles away.
What made it even more jarring was how coldly strategic it was delivered. There were no tearful speeches about relationships or Canada's legacy. Instead, the Premier spoke in clipped, unemotional language that felt more like a corporate board issuing an ultimatum than political leaders addressing their nation.
Donald Trump's remarks on making Canada the 51st state. And while the idea may seem crazy to some, others think it's time for a change.
For the first time in decades, the four provinces acted with unprecedented unity, not seeking sympathy, not asking for compromise, but making it clear that Ottawa no longer speaks for them. There was no negotiation bait. This was a clean break, calculated and deliberate, not an attempt to talk, but to reshape reality.
Disruption, eruption, and distortion. First Nations leaders across Alberta and Saskatchewan and members of the Indigenous community say the bill breaches their treaty rights.
Instead, he had hoped the Alberta government would see the response to his petition as a sign that Albertans wanted to put the issue to bed.
Since then, things have changed. It appears that the Premier seems to be very sympathetic to the separatist cause, and we may end up having a separatist referendum anyhow.
And why now? Part of the answer lies south of the border. The shockwaves from the U.S. military operation in Venezuela have rippled far beyond Latin America. In early January, U.S. forces captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro in a lightning raid and brought him to New York to face federal charges, a move that stunned the world and shattered norms about sovereignty and intervention.
For decades, what's commonly called Wexit, right, which involves the whole Western Canadian provinces seceding. Wexit was dismissed and laughed at as nothing more than a fringe, peripheral issue. No more.
Trump made it clear that the U.S. would take charge of Venezuela's government and especially tap into its vast oil resources, signaling a readiness to use power, without waiting for international permission.
In a shock move, Western leaders such as Alberta Premier Danielle Smith have just announced binding referendums in the next year asking citizens straight up, do you want to break away from Canada?
For Western leaders in Canada, that event wasn't just a headline, it was a strategic moment. They saw a superpower willing to act unilaterally, rip up conventions, and reshape borders in real time. Borders, they realized, are only as sacred as the power that defends them. Many in the West had long whispered about alienation.
Politicians and Eastern politics, our resources have been landlocked.
And pushing Alberta's autonomy.
No way I want to become part of the States. We've got too much to live for here in Canada.
The sign is on Alberta's busiest highway near the town of Bowden.
Studies showed a significant portion of Albertans, for example, believe their province would be better off detached from Ottawa's grasp, even with the United States. But seeing the U.S. act boldly, without hesitation, made that whisper feel like a template. Instead of dreading invasion, they saw strategic alignment as a form of protection, trading potential vulnerability for absolute certainty.
To be put to a vote.
I'm hoping that we can convince at least 60% of our fellow citizens to leave Canada. I think the financial case for it is incredibly strong.
So this wasn't ideology. This was realpolitik. Western provinces weighed their options. They watched the U.S. move into Venezuela, bypassing red tape, and thought if a global power can redraw influence in South America, why shouldn't we secure a future?
So the only reason why I played that this clip here from the Canadians, talks of becoming 51st to 54 states, it's for the main reason that we have to keep fighting for America, and the reason why we stand with President Trump and the administration. As many libtards and people on the left side want to say that the world is laughing at us and this and that, and that we are a shame and all this other stuff, let's be real. The real time where people in the world were laughing at us with when Biden was pretending to be a president, but we all know the digital pen actually got the photo frame in the White House because the libtards on the fake Democratic Party decided that they can put a puppet, as Barack Obama once mentioned, that if he can run for a third term, he would like to be in his basement and somebody can have an earpiece and he can run the country that way. We're not stupid. We never forget whether he thought he was a good joke or not. Well, it didn't age well, did it? And so we have the world laughing at us because we're incompetent. That's why they were laughing at us. Now, they can still laugh at us, but they know what happens when Big Daddy comes home. Nicolas Maduro was laughing. Nicolas Maduro was taunting the president. Nicolas Maduro thought that he was good. He thought that he was safe. He thought that he can talk smack and that nothing would happen. You guys know this. I don't have to remind you, do I? Hey, why don't we do this? Let me go ahead and go back here. And let me remind you, since maybe you haven't seen my shorts, there's just a short that they put in from ICE. And, well, let me see if I can find it here real quick. Man, even I don't have my damn shorts in line. Let's see. Fafo, where are you, Fafo? Here we go. Here we go. If you guys want to be like Nicolas Maduro, let's remember what this is about right here. This is for my libtards who forget who we are as the United States of America. Come for me, he says. Come and get me, you coward, he says. Well, this is what happens when you call on the President of the United States of America who doesn't F around. Check this out.
Last night, on the order of the President of the United States, and in support of a request from the Department of Justice, the United States military conducted an apprehension mission in Caracas, Venezuela, to bring to justice two indicted persons, Nicolas and Cecilia Maduro.
Nicolas Maduro had his chance until he didn't. He effed around and he found out.
This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence in American history.
Like, I don't understand yet how they haven't figured this out. And now, if you don't know, now you know.
because this is the way it's going to play out. And I think people need to understand that this is not a president that just talks and does letters and press conferences. And, if he says he's serious about something, he means it. But don't play games. Don't play games with this president's in office, because it's not going to turn out well.
The world is laughing at us. We're the laughing stock of the world, says the crazy-ass libtards. Nicolas Maduro, come for me, you coward! He says he's all shaking on passionate, emotional, dramatic action and talk, and he says, don't take too long. I am waiting for you here in the capital of Venezuela. Yes, Daddy. Merry Christmas. Woo! Oh, my goodness. That is some fantastic entertainment right there. Cutting Edge says, plus something tells me maybe Bennett is a clone because cloning people in the USA don't have a federal ban. He's going way beyond my reach. I tell you that right now. Mexico, you're next. Cuba, you're next. You are on the radar. That's right. The Cuban people will also be liberated. The Cuban people deserve to have a good life. Cuba, if it wasn't for the commies, Cuba would be such a great country. When you think about it, the location of Cuba, which is amazing to me because, if you ever been in a tropical place, you will see that the Dominican Republic, and guys, I want you to just picture this, okay? We have bad weather here in this United States of America. Maybe you're from Russia or wherever you're listening to us from. The Caribbean is a beautiful place to go visit, and then you will think that the local people of these tropical islands and countries, that they will do their best effort so that they can make their country, their islands, so available for tourism to where they can make money if they want to travel to the United States of America. Get rid of commies. If you get rid of commies, we can start trading again. You can start being free again. And this is one of the reasons why I'm against communists in this country. This is why I don't support the Democratic Party anymore, because they are the new socialist party. If you are new to my channel and you don't know what the new socialist party is, that socialism now includes Marxism and communism. They have found that that is the best way to cloak their lies to the American people. And many libtards, and this is why I'm telling you, Omar, we don't want to be loyalists. Because if you're a loyalist, when something goes wrong, you will not admit that something went wrong. Cutting Edge, yes, thank you for adding Nicaragua. There's other countries, guys, but I'm just saying, listen, Honduras. I just came back from Honduras 2 days ago. Okay, I was down there for 3 months, and I just came back from Honduras. You guys saw a couple of my lives. I try to walk around and show you guys a little bit. Unfortunately, the places where I really wanted to do a live, I had no good reception. I do have a lot of clips. Oh, my gosh. I got so much, guys. I don't even know how long it's going to take me to put it together. But I will try to get some clips out there to show you guys and share with you some areas of Honduras. But I'm going to tell you this. The reason why I tell you this is because even though I didn't go out and do all these things, there's one thing that I will tell you about Honduras. Honduras there's seasons for everything, okay? But Honduras has many areas. There is a lot of water. What do you call that? A birth of a river. What would you call that spot? Water spring, I think, right? Water spring. We have a lot of those, especially up in the mountains where it gets a little bit cooler. But there's rivers that you can actually go into. There's like business, not like business, but there's private areas like parks, right? That you can go in. You pay a small fee. This is how you help out the community. But you can bring picnic stuff. You can bring your own food. You can buy food there. And you can chill at the river. You can take a dip on the nice turquoise water. You know what I'm saying? Like there is places where you can do some really nice hiking with a lot of beautiful nature. If Honduras has spent more time feeding tourism by promoting safety and regulating better the streets, Honduras would be such a tremendous tourist attraction. It's seasonal, but it would be such a tremendous tourist attraction. Now, that's just Honduras. Honduras doesn't have all the best things of the best. Honduran islands, the Bay Islands, Roatan, Utila, Guanaja, those are islands that are beautiful. But there is seasons and times for them to come in and have a tourist season and make a lot of money. What I'm saying with this is, like, these communist countries need to get rid of the communists. They really do. And the more that they lock onto a friendship with the United States of America, the better they will be off. Right now, we just got a new president in Honduras. And by the way, I found out that apparently I have dual citizenship. So I am a Honduran citizen and I am an American citizen. I will tell you this, that the oath that I have practiced throughout my whole life has always been to Honduras since I was a child, but the oath talks about my loyalty. And this is where you want to be loyal. You want to be loyal to your country, to the land that provides for you and your family. The United States, it's that country to me. You see, I love this country. I respect the people. I understand the law, and I respect it because that's what you do. Some people ask me, why are you not wearing the American flag in Honduras? Well, because it's Honduras. They have a Honduran flag. If I'm in the United States of America, I'm going to wave my American flag. What is wrong with that? It's called respect. Respect the area where you're in. You have your freedom of speech. That's great. That's fantastic. Use it with responsibility. That's where I'm at. Okay? So you got Cuba. Cuba is an island. Cuba has so many things that they can change. They can upgrade their towns. They can upgrade their water system. They can upgrade their power grid. They can upgrade so many things on there if only the communists will get out of Cuba. Prostitution is so huge in Cuba because that is one way that women make money. It's not a hidden secret. Everybody knows this. Everybody knows this. Why do a lot of people, especially Americans, go to the Philippines? It's easy for them to get women. It is what it is, whether we like it or not, that is a fact. Filipino women, they want a man that provides. They want a house. They want to feel like they have a family. They don't care how old you are. You can be 70 years old and they can be 20, 30. They still marry you. They still want to be with you because a woman wants to be protected. And third world countries can be a lot better if only communists will allow the people to grow and get rid of socialism. Capitalism might be unfair for those who are envious of other people's success. But if you're a hard worker, if you save, if you invest, you too can have money. You know why I'm not rich? Because I made bad decisions. But it's not because I am trying to be rich. No, I don't want to be rich. I don't care about being rich. If I thought that being rich was going to make me happy, I would fight for that. I would go for that. But I wouldn't be hating other people because they're more successful than I am. That's just not how I work. That's not what I believe. But again, there is all these countries that could benefit from a lot of tourism. And if they actually became friends, this close of friends with the United States of America, I think that people would be better off. And Americans, I'm going to tell you something. If you allow this country to be taken over by foreigners, it's your fault for not saying anything, for hating a man, and for ignoring the facts. Now, I don't want to ignore the fact that Cutting Edge is the stream boss chat with those 2 super chats. So let's take a moment to say thank you to the jefe, el patron, the boss. The big boss al jefe, El Patron, cutting edge. Sorry, I forgot to put the sound on it at that first. But it will be on the next time. All right. All right. With that being said, I think that Canadians, right, just kind of going around the bush here a little bit, but I think Canadians would benefit a lot by joining the United States of America. I think it would be a great opportunity, not just for Canadians, but also for us in the USA, because our Golden Dome will expand and protect Canadians more. Albertans, what they want, they just want recognition. They want to be fair. They want justice. They want to feel like they're being counted, as citizens. That they're not second grade slaves to Ottawa. See, this is where this is where the communist, socialist people come in, where they just believe enslaving people, period. And I think Alberta, has plenty of oil that we can refine. Canadians can't refine that oil. It's useless to them. But we can. And so we can make a lot of oil here, lower prices, as we've been doing with President Trump. I can't believe that prices in blue states and cities keep going up. And people don't realize that raising taxes, it's always going to incur a big economical burden to the American people. Doesn't matter how you slice it. If you add taxes to property taxes, if you add taxes to businesses, if you add taxes to everybody's wealth and everything, well, everybody has to collect more money. And the people don't benefit from that. So there is that. All right, guys, now I'm going to have to punish you here because I do want to listen to this. This is CNN. For all my libtards, here's your chance to go ahead and enjoy and go ahead and say all your negative things about the Republican side. But hey, don't be triggered too much.
I'm not going to get in the gutter for her theatrics. Who he
Mr. Chairman,
was?
she's embarrassing you.
He's about to be.
This is your committee, and she is embarrassing
Shame
you.
on you. Have you apologized to President Trump?
I like how he says, "Oh, Mr. Chairman, she's embarrassing you." Like, who gives a shit what you think? You see that he tried to make him feel guilty or defensive about the situation. This is how Democrats work. Now, I'm sorry, I'm almost a half a century old. I know better. I know when people are trying to trigger me. And yes, sometimes I will go off because this is my show. This is what I do. But the fact is that these people think that we're dumb and that we're not going to critically think about what's happening. But we know better, and they can't play us for fools.
You all should be apologizing. You sit here and you attack the president, and I am not going to have it.
Those victims could have gone to court and pointed out every single one of the people that abused them. What are they waiting for? What are they waiting for? Why are Democrats holding this meaningless, useless hearing? They're not a court. They don't have a judge. The witnesses don't get to say anything. Why didn't Democrats give those witnesses or innocent victims their time to say something? No, they spent the whole time just grilling Pam Bundy and blaming President Trump and the administration. You should retire. You should be fired. You should be impeached. Shut the hell up. How about you give some of that time that you have in your hands to the innocent victims that you so-called in that hearing? Instead, they want to go ahead and make theatrics, just like she says, and I agree with her. And now I made a live this morning, and I asked, was she cooked? I don't think she was cooked, but she definitely did some cooking. She was the chef in that slaughterhouse. And I'm going to tell you something right now. You can say whatever you want, and I'll agree to disagree. But you definitely see things different than I do. I know my sister Tan was here earlier. She knows what I'm talking about. But Pam Bondi, oh, man, God bless her heart. She is amazing. Nadler, go back and take your nap. Nadler was sleeping for most of this hearing, by the way.
It almost seems like something out of a reunion episode of a Bravo show or something. But it's interesting because Pam Bondi actually, to be honest, has not really been around all that much. When we've been talking about the Epstein files, the person they've been putting out is Todd Blanche, and now she's there on Capitol Hill and seems to be putting on a show of defiance. But I think the real question is over what? Over the finding out the truth about a child sex ring? It just seems like the wrong attitude for this issue.
Listen, I'm an institutionalist. I want there to be some iota of respect for the institution of Congress. I think this kind of performative theatrics, she says she's not going to get in the gutter for her theatrics, for somebody else's theatrics. Everything she did today was performative. And I say this as somebody who has known Pam Bondi for many years. I knew her back in Florida when she was Attorney General. I don't think this served anybody. I don't think these shouting matches, and let's just be, honest about it. When Democrats were in power in Congress, the shouting matches still went on. When Republicans are in power, the shouting matches still go. These congressional hearings have really degraded into
anything quite like this. I mean, regardless of political party. I mean, even Trump's other attorney generals, Bill Barr, Jeff Sessions, I don't know.
The part that really bothered me today, and I give MAGA a lot of credit, the one thing I give them credit for is not letting go of the Epstein files bone. They just never did. And there was people like Nancy Mace, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who defied Donald Trump and voted to release these files, and the MAGA blogosphere and podcast universe who never let it go. That being said, I thought today, Pam Bondi, having those victims, those survivors there, and the family of the survivors that have died, and not having the common courtesy of, at the very least, turning around and acknowledging their presence. And I do think those survivors are owed an apology by 4 administrations. Right. And she is right that Merrick Garland should have answered questions, but right.
I like how she says survivors as if the rest of them actually died. What were they doing over there?
Right now, today, this is her DOJ. It is up to her to prosecute if there's prosecutable crimes. It is up to her to release all the files and comply with the law that was passed. It is up to her to give justice and closure to those survivors. It was so shameful to me that those survivors got told and asked, raise your hand if you have called the DOJ and offered to testify. They all raised their hands, and none had been contacted by this DOJ, which is run by Pam Bondi, a woman from Florida who knows who Epstein is. That is damn disgusting and shameful.
Yeah, I mean, I pick up on that because I think the conversation today, I've been watching all the news, has been about the theatrics that were happening on Capitol Hill. But the reality is, the real conversation we should be talking about is the survivors.
Damn, mind speak? Why you come in here and destroy my story? You know what they're saying. They're saying survivors as in like there was a massacre happening over there at the Epstein Island. This is not something that we have heard. Okay, I mean, if somebody died, of course, anybody can die anywhere, but it's not something that they're making a case of. They're not saying, oh, a lot of innocent people have died in Epstein Epstein Island. That's not what they're talking about. Now, I want to point something out here. These people say that they don't want theatrics or whatever. Talking about immigrants that come from a communist country to the United States of America, Ana Navarro talks about how she is how she fled a communist country, and I don't understand why she is supporting a party that actually supports communists. Very ironic. I just wanted to point that out.
Conversation of how brave it is for them to even have been there. 1 in 5 women in America have experienced some sort of sexual assault. The reality is this gives us the complete picture of what this administration is. They will do whatever to protect their sexual assaulter in chief, who was found liable for sexual assault before. The reality is we're not having this conversation that protects women. It continues to perpetuate.
I just want to point out this girl tries to sound smart, but she has no brains. Very unfortunate.
this situation and this culture in America where it
Nor
makes
this guy.
women hard to come forward and actually say, this person did something extremely wrong to me. And that's the conversation we should be having. But I'm not surprised
Pepe, I'm just messing with you, man.
that this administration is deflecting from it, because let's look at the first Trump administration when Kavanaugh was, when the hearings around Kavanaugh, and Professor Ford actually was brave enough to share her story.
Even if we put the Trump of it aside for a second, there were still some really bizarre.
Hey, hold on. Let's put this girl aside for a second. Why is it that they tell the victims, supposedly they're innocent victims in here, one of them gets paid from Soros. I can't remember which one that is, but one of them in that hearing gets paid from Soros and actually is or has worked with the Democrat campaign. But I want to point out that these people could have gone to court and testify and call out all these people. Now they're talking about innocent victims, and I don't know. I think different than most people, I guess. But I'm looking at the things. I'm looking at this hearing, and we listened to it for 5 hours today, guys. 5-hour hearing today. I think it was like almost 5 hours. Okay, we listened to the whole hearing. Now I know some of my people have already left the chat. It's okay. You know, I don't expect everybody to stay with me as long as I am live. I've been live for almost 2.5 hours this evening, and we were live for I don't know how many hours earlier today. But, you know, the thing that I'm pointing out is how much these people try to say that they care about the innocent victims, and then they go out there and embarrass the innocent victims. And then they get mad at Pam Bundy for redacting, and they get mad at Pam Bundy for not redacting. They get mad at Pam Bundy for taking too damn long, and then they get mad at Pam Bundy because there was mistakes made when she is being forced by the Democrats. I like how Democrats thought they were so clever. Everything President Donald Trump does, Democrats just seem to jump and get mad about. But I know what's happening. See, President Donald Trump is sick and tired of being blamed for anything that he does. Damn if he does, damn if he doesn't. So his strategy, as I see it, was, listen, I can release the files. I have said it. I heard him. I have said it. Release the files. He said, Donald Trump said a long time ago, release the files. It wasn't done. So what is the strategy? Democrats like to go against Trump on every single point. And what is the biggest way that I can make them look like jackasses? You know what? Yes, I am the president. I am not going to release the files. If they want the files released, let them do it. And what do? They got this whole government shutdown, blah, blah, blah. They get this illegal Mexican. Well, I think she's illegal. Who knows? Maybe she is legal. But she comes in, she gets sworn in, and with that, I vote to release the Epstein files. And all the Democrats over there, oh, yes, we won against Trump. We won. We're going to force President Trump to sign to release the Epstein files. And now, like Pontius Pilate, President Donald Trump says, I wash my hands of this doing, and I am giving Congress full credit for whatever happens with the Epstein files. Now, if you don't know who Pontius Pilate is, let me give you a little history here in biblical standards. There was a day in Rome where there was a custom to release a prisoner. And one of those prisoners was Jesus Christ, who died for our sins, who is my Lord and Savior, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, the Alpha and the Omega, the one true God. And the other one was an actual criminal. His name was Barabbas. TT, you going in timeout. I don't give a shit about Black Lives Matter. 10 minutes. Go to the corner and think about what you did wrong. So the people, the Jews, they go out there and they just don't know what to say. But the snake, the devil, goes around whispering on people's ears. Hey, listen, if you say release Barabbas, we will give you some money. That's right. Here's the money. Dirty money. Here's your money. Dirty money. And the people started chanting. All the Jews and the people that were in that area where we're watching a true Barabbas criminal in Jesus. And they said, release Barabbas and crucified Jesus Christ. Pontius Pilate decides to bring off a bowl of water, and he washes his hands, and he says to the people, this innocent man's blood is in your hands. Well, guess what President Donald Trump just did? President Donald Trump forced Congress, all of the libtards on the Democratic Party, he forced them without them even knowing what was happening. He's like a stealth bomber, B-21. By the time you find out that the B-21 is in the area, your ass is carbon. You're disintegrated. You're destroyed. You're done. You're taken out. That's how that works. And I love it because every single congressman fell for it. And so now we had a hearing, 5-hour hearing this morning. And everybody on the Democratic side is fighting everything that we already knew was going to happen. And what was that? We knew that the innocent victims will be put in peril. We knew the innocent victims were going to pay the price. We knew that countries will be hurt by this. We knew that powerful people, yes, hey, listen, if they are found guilty, their ass needs to go to jail. But see, it's no longer Trump's fault. It's no longer Trump who yeah, good job, Ron. Good job. You are so lost. But you cracked me up. Ah, man, you threw me off. What the hell was I saying? President Donald Trump. Here's the thing. You have to understand something. And I understand. I know it sounds twisted to the weak mind and to many of the libtards on the other side. But I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this. Listen. President Trump, as I would, I don't care. Listen, Jason, Boz, Janice, Robert, Rons, Omar, Paris, Pepper the Frog, okay? Everybody in here. I don't know what you are into. I don't know if there's porn, child porn in your computers. I don't know. I don't know if you're a drug dealer. I don't know if you're an illegal immigrant. I don't know who you are. All I know is that while you have a service that I need, then we can work together and I'll partner up. And if I know that any of you might be compromised in some way, shape, or form, I want no part of it. Listen, I appreciate you as people. I'm not going to go into releasing information, but if the information that gets released says that you are guilty of something, don't come blaming me. Don't blame me. And not one libtard, not one leftist, not one Democrat can say anything about President Donald Trump. Because every single leftist person is supporting illegal criminal aliens in this country. Everybody illegal in this country is being supported by the leftist libtards. You guys support fraud. They support everything crooked that happens in this country. So shut the hell up and let us have our 4 years with President Trump. Not one of you come in here being a true Christian with true Christian values. So you cannot judge us by Christian values. For you are a snake since you don't believe in God. Pretending to be a Christian while you go and worship Satan is not a real Christian. So isn't that interesting? That the libtards that are out there destroying this country, that are supporting sexual immorality and perversion, that are supporting fraud, that are supporting criminals, have the nerves to come into my chat and tell us that we are evil and tell us that we're supporting this pedophile. They raise false testimony just like the devil and its demons do. They like to bring the past up. It doesn't matter if people have changed. They bring the past. Even though people have changed, they bring the past just like demons do to tear down a man's reconciliation between man and God. I know many of you don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. But let those who have ears hear what the Holy Spirit says to them. For I am just a tool, delivering a message. And those who are called by God will hear from God. There's a beautiful story. There's a beautiful story that I heard. I don't know which feed it was, but it was about a sheep. You see, there was a sheep, a mother sheep, that had a sheep that she disliked, and she kept pushing the sheep away, and the sheep kept pushing away, and the pastor, the shepherd saw this, and the shepherd had to separate that sheep, the innocent sheep. Oh my God, oveja. It's so much easier in Spanish, right? The sheep, and he nurtured it, and he took care of it until it was big enough. Why? Because if he left that sheep with the evil sheep mom, she would probably be destroyed. And that is not good. The shepherd wants his flock to all get along, but sometimes you have to separate them. Now, when it comes to the shepherd calling his sheep, who do you think are the most grateful? Who do you think are the most grateful of the sheep? The happiest to see their shepherd, their pastor. You got it. The one that has been nurtured, that has been protected from evil. And that's why I protect President Donald J. Trump. Because I see a nation that is punishing him for being different, while they are hypocrites. For they don't know what they do. And I understand that. But they are hypocrites. Because they like to cast stones and raise false testimonies against President Donald Trump, while they themselves are swimming in sexual immorality and perversion. They are so full of sin, and they got the nerves to come in here and judge. They got the nerves to call pedophiles here on my chat. And yet they support Bad Bunny, where there actually is pedophilia, where there actually is sexual perversion, where they have an innocent child in the midst of an adult entertainment. FCC is finding this 1 million from what Robert says. That's not enough. But the libtards would like you to believe that they care about innocent children. They don't. They don't even stand up against Muslims who worship a fake prophet who was a pedophile, who married a 7-year-old. Go on, say something. I am so glad that I have so many patriots on my chat. With that being said, let's go ahead and continue. That is my rant. Let's go ahead and finish this. See, oh my goodness, I don't even know if I'm gonna let it. Yeah, I'll let it finish. Let's see. Laugh my ass off like Kid Rock's lyrics literally admits it. Dude, Lord, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I will have to go listen to it and judge for myself. But this is my show. You shut the hell up. I will go listen to it and find out what the hell the lyrics are for the songs that he's saying. I'm not a fan of people pretending to be this, we have this Christian show for halftime and Turning Point USA is the Christians. I don't care. I don't care. Listen, the only reason why I will support them is because at least they are trying to be good people. Would I put my hands on the fire for their salvation? Absolutely not. I can even say that I'm going to go to heaven. I can say I hope that Jesus Christ does take me to heaven and keep me there. I can only hope. I want to be like Paul. On my dying bed, on my last breath, I want to say, I have fought the good fight. And I held my faith and my belief. And that I can say, Father, forgive me for my sins. Father, I am with you. I am for you and will ever, ever praise you forever and ever and ever. You are my God in whom I trust. That's the Christian that I am. I do not pretend that I am saved and I'm safe. Every day that I say that I am saved and I'm safe and it doesn't matter what the devil does, I will never be unsaved, is the day that I give up my faith and stop fighting the good fight. So if I have a message for any Christians that come into my chat, never for once believe that you are saved by accepting Jesus Christ, but every day pray to God by the renewal of your mind that you will renew your spirit and you will have that connection with God, a true relationship, not a religious belief, like many people say, like President Donald Trump, making this big deal about Nicki Minaj. Her music is garbage. That's right, I said it. It's garbage. It's perverted. It's sickening. And I don't like it. What's the only reason why I think that she's doing a good thing? Well, she's supporting Christians. She doesn't want Christians to be killed by Muslims. That's okay. That doesn't make her a Christian. But I'm okay with her intention. Is she going to be saved? Probably not. Not the way that she sings. That doesn't tell me that she's saved. But I will hope that in one day in the future, hopefully sooner than later, she would repent from her evil ways and that she will actually make a change. I don't want you to think that all these people, just because they say, it is, Captain, you are garbage and perverted, you dumbass. I've just spoke everything against sexual perversion and immorality, and you think I'm garbage and perverted? What the hell do you think the word perverted means, you dumbass? You just earned the biggest insult of the night. Congratulations, moron.
Our moments today. I mean, this is an interaction between Pam Bondi and Tom Massey, and he's asking her why the DOJ hasn't or didn't prosecute some people who are named in the Epstein files as being co-conspirators. And here's how she responded.
Are you able to track who it was that obscured Les Wexner's name as a co-conspirator in an FBI document?
Chairman, may I give my answer
question.
on that?
Here's
It's a political
the question.
joke, and I need to give my answer on that.
We'll let the Attorney General respond, and then the gentleman can move to his next question.
It's my time.
Within 40 minutes, you asked me a question.
You can
Within
give me-
40 minutes.
Hoopty, 100%, brother. 100%. Lady Gaga has sold her soul to the devil. Absolutely. Oh, man. I know some stuff, bro. It's crazy.
Wexner's name was added back.
Within 40 minutes of me catching you red-handed.
There was one redaction out
Where
of
he's
over
listed as a
4,700,
co-conspirator.
and we invited you.
Listen to me right now. What he's saying, I'm not going to blame him completely. But catching you red-handed is the stupidest statement that he can make on this. Because number one, if it was a mistake, it's okay to correct it. Are we just supposed to ignore everything? How stupid is that statement? Tell me, like, seriously, bear with me. How stupid was that statement? If he pointed out, hey, this was wrong, what happened? And she's like, oh shit, I see it. Boom, change. What's the problem? No harm, no foul. Again, they have been pounding and pounding and pounding. Release the files. Not giving them enough time to go through everything. There's millions and millions of documents. And people are so crazy. You got to take some common sense approach to this. When you want things to be rushed, stop complaining when mistakes happen.
Ian, this guy has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to get, you're a failed politician.
Failed politician.
Again, I just don't know who that serves, Scott. I mean, literally on that document, the name that is blacked out says co-conspirator. That should be an obvious non-redaction. And to not even acknowledge, I think that's a pretty big mistake. To not even acknowledge that, I think, and then make it about Thomas Massie and his relationship with Trump or whatever, seems to obscure the bigger issue, which is that there are potential perpetrators, alleged perpetrators, who are still being protected.
Well, look, I don't know how the redactions are made or not made. And look, obviously it was brought up and then they unredacted it, and it's 3.5 million documents. And I have always wondered how in the world you ever get it perfect. And I've also wondered, you know, the danger of accidentally or whatever, putting people's names out there who were victims, who shouldn't have their names out there. Anytime you're dumping this many documents, it's been worrisome. All of that having been said, this hearing today to me, look, I get the desire to fight because, look, and I agree with Anna, actually. These hearings are basically people show up, they make speeches, then they give the witness 10 seconds to respond, and then they yell at the witness. It's been going on for a long time. It makes these hearings useless. That having been said, at the DOJ, I think if I were advising them, I would advise them to do it more like Scott Bessent handles his hearings. It's not a lot of performative. It's not a lot of theatrics. He remains cool. He is in command of the facts, and that's how he chooses to do it. They come after him the same way, but he has a different style of how he carries himself and how he presents himself. I think that, truthfully, better serves the administration because it shows more confidence in what you're doing as opposed to just the fighting and the back and forth.
She must be doing it because she thinks somebody likes it.
Exactly. I
We
mean,
like it.
Bessent has the benefit of the kind of a financial view, which can be argued in multiple ways, and you can have facts. The facts are just not on their side in these particular hearings. You know, we just saw Patel, now we've seen Bondi. The New York Times called this a stall and brawl strategy. I think that is a perfect description of what it is, because we see people constantly contorting themselves to try to defend the indefensible. They deflect instead of answering questions directly. They try to substitute passion for truth. They try to talk fast rather than straight talk. And that is all for one person only, because it is a person who likes it, and that is Donald Trump. And so all of this genuflecting, I feel like every one of these people should have bloody knees because they are genuflecting to this man all the time.
But you know, if nothing else, she should have turned around to those survivors and said, my DOJ, we should have contacted you. I'm sorry we didn't. My DOJ will be on it, and we will be contacting you and getting your stories. That's just unacceptable.
Let me show you this image. This is Pan Bondi's notes. It was captured by a photographer, and it shows that they had taken over at the DOJ notes of what members, in this case it was Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, what they searched when they went into the DOJ to look at the Epstein files. And I don't know, what does that tell you, Chris, about what the priorities were going into this hearing on the Bondi side of things?
I just totally agree with Anna. I think that we've absolutely lost what this is about. This should not be political. This really shouldn't. These women were victims of sexual assault, and we are continually just brushing over that for theater. And a number of their names were released here. They were victimized again. And I've seen this in my job a number of times. And we keep forgetting this over and over again. But then when the Attorney General gets up there and just wants to combat and just wants to yell, it seemed a lot more to me like an interview for the White House than it did, rather than trying to actually address the underlying problem. I mean, when you have a Republican like Massie saying, hey, listen, why aren't you going after these people? Why are you redacting names that say conspirator? And then you have Democrats on the other hand saying this. You have lots of Democrats in these files. You have lots of Republicans in these files. But we're forgetting all these women that are sitting right behind you. And I totally agree with Anna. I don't understand why you can't start a hearing and just simply say, I'm sorry. I am sorry about not only what you have gone through, but I'm also...
She did apologize to all of them. What the hell is he talking about?
So sorry that My department released your names publicly.
Well,
that is not a big ask.
Well, Pam Bondi has clearly shown us that she has no soul and does not literally care about people's
Says the woman that has no soul or care about people.
experiences, and that's why we couldn't get it, and I wouldn't have expected it from her.
It was also absolutely ridiculous. First, she was being very inconsistent with what Todd Blanche has said about some of these in some of these answers, but it was ridiculous for her to say.
Shut up, Anna. All right, guys, we have gotten to the part where we will release the Crime Chef. For those of you who have been waiting for me to fulfill my promise from a day ago, well, it is time to fulfill the promise. If you have not subscribed to the Crime Chef channel, I suggest you go and like. I put the description of my live earlier today, but I do want to give him credit. I have asked for him. I asked if I could use his videos on my channel, and he said yes. Now, I will give you a heads up. This is a bit graphic when it comes to audio. So just a heads up. Let me see if anybody else has something else to say. Blah, blah, blah. My reaction will be the next after Trump. Like who says you have no soul? Let's get pizza again. I love the beef jerky. I love the torture video and the redacted those sending emails, blah, blah, blah. If they had a Puerto Rican singer who wasn't about all the demonic garbage that Bad Bunny appears to be about, I would have been happy to let my kids watch the halftime show. Hoopty, I never agree for my kids to watch halftime shows at an adult sports game. You can watch the sport game, but I don't trust halftime shows. Remember, Janet Jackson's Left Titty came out. Very unfortunate. Snoop Doggy Dogg, Dr. Dre, the drug dealers and the hoes and tricks and the gangster rapping and this whole sexual immorality promoting. Every single artist that I can think of, the reason why I don't watch halftime shows, has done the same thing. So it's not just Bad Bunny. What gets to me is that the libtards that believe that this country, it's Honduras, Mexico, Nicaragua. No, this is the United States of America. Speak English, doggone it. You want to speak Spanish, go to a Spanish country. That's where I'm at. I'm not going to excuse Kid Rock. I don't care about anybody else's. Turning Point USA is, again, I will support them to a certain extent, but I'm not going to tell you that they're true Christians. That's just not for me to do. I don't agree with a lot of things that they do. They're very materialistic. They have wasted millions of dollars on artificial things that I think that could go to benefit veterans or homeless or other people. I understand the reasons of entertainment. I know it's expensive. I get all that. But, as Christians, I disagree with a lot of mega churches and a lot of pastors that have private jets and they have all these big mansions while the congregation is not rich. I have a big issue with that. So there's controversials everywhere. But what I can tell you is this. This is America, and you got to speak English. I think many people understand what that is. With that being said, we're jumping right into the Crime Chef video.
Record!
Just before 7 a.m. in Eagleville, Pennsylvania, a routine drive to work turned into a federal enforcement operation. ICE agents were tracking a 26-year-old Mexican national who had entered the United States legally in 2021 on a temporary agricultural work visa, one that expired more than 3 years ago. As agents attempted to detain him, multiple vehicles converged. A collision occurred. Instead of stopping, the driver fled the scene. What began as surveillance quickly escalated into a pursuit, ending not on the road, but at the suspect's own residence.
Stop it! Stop! Stop! Stop it! Stop! There's little kids! Stop it! Get out of here! Get out! What the f*** is your problem? Get out of here! What the f***, man? You guys are all going to hell, man. Stop fighting! Wait. No. You're going to fuck hell, man. Hold it, hold it, hold it! Wait.
You stay in the room, please.
No, no, this is my house. This is my house.
Might be your house, but it's not your country. Adios.
Why do you do this? Why do you break families apart? Why? You don't have kids? You don't have a family? Why do you do this? Do you think this is okay? I know you feel something. Hey, go! No! Stop crying! Call your mom. Call your mom. Why, man? Why? Do you have kids?
If you would have just,
No, but listen. Do you have kids?
I don't even talk about that. I'm not here for
You're
kids.
evil. You're evil. God has a special place for you guys. I hope you know that. Don't hurt him! Don't hurt him! You're hurting him! What do you mean? No! No!
Need a badge and a gun. So what happened in that situation is the man was running away from ICE, crashed into some ICE agent cars. I think that's the story that we're looking at. And he ran into this house, so they went after him. When they are chasing somebody, they don't need a warrant to go inside somebody's house. It is automatic. She knows that he's guilty. She knows he is illegal. And she knows that he's running from them. And then she's trying to play the victim. She obviously knows she is recording. So she tries to play this whole I'm hurt victim sobby story. This is what libtards do all the time. And what pisses me off is that they use that. They pretend to be this very nice people who are just victims. And listen to the way that she talks to her children. Shut up. Like, stop crying. Like, wait, what? I thought you're protecting the innocent. What happened? You're yelling at your kids for being scared? You're allowing a criminal to be in the house, being a bad example to your children? And you want to pretend and act like you're a victim? Please. Please, I was not born yesterday.
Fun to sit there and bully other people. I think you're right.
A mob formed outside the house with evidence of the crash apparent when you look at the vehicle.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Real men don't have to wear masks to work.
5 years ago, every single liberal man was wearing a mask to work and crying because I refused to wear one.
Real men don't kidnap people for a living. Real men protect.
The only good ice is water ice. Oh.
That was the most unfunny joke ever uttered.
Yeah, man. How do you sleep?
That man can't he can't show his face because he's ashamed to show it because of the children's school. His children's school.
We don't want you here.
They got a Uber sticker on the cop car.
You guys need a hobby.
Kind of bullshit is that.
Gilligan's Island's on.
Got to be something better to do than to cosplay as Nazis.
What's your resume going to look like when this is all over, boys? You'll be unemployed after Trump gets out of office.
You heard of the Nuremberg trials?
Here's more proof ICE isn't racist. He is Asian.
Oh, there's
telling us to turn around. But they're refusing to go. We should just not go there.
Oh, well, they got him. I got him on video. Wait, let me get his face.
Get him out of the car. They're taking the kid too. Dude, Jesus Christ.
When an illegal is spotted with ICE, a Karen is never far behind.
We'll take care of it.
Nombre.
Back up.
What's your name? What's your name? What's your name? What's your name? Fuck you, you piece of shit! Oh my God. Oh. What's your name? What? Oh my God.
It's like we're stuck in a time loop where we watch the same generic Karens interfere with arrests.
You guys can do this.
What's your name?
What? You'll find out which way you're going. You have a criminal history and you're here illegal, all right? You have a criminal history and you're here illegal, all right?
Tell us your family name. You don't know.
Looks like a new lawn care job just opened up if anyone's interested. Otherwise, the Karens will need to cut their own grass.
Déjalo que muestre los papeles. Can you believe this? I'm not here. I'm not making the pictures here.
Where's your documents? Let me see your paperwork.
Enséñale los papeles.
¿Dónde están tus papeles? ¿Dónde están tus papeles?
Déjalo que let him show you the papers.
¿Dónde naciste?
En el memorial, en el hospital memorial, un nombre.
Aquí dice México.
Tengo doble ciudadanía.
Ok, hay que investigar.
He's
showing you guys his ID. 5 guys for one guy?
The Mexican it doesn't matter. He's working, bro. Come on, look, we're all working. If he's so Mexicans, go ahead and arrest all of us. I'm pretty sure he pays taxes just like you and me. It doesn't matter? Come on, bro. That's fucked
Hey,
up.
you're being recorded. We're going to report it to your station, okay?
Go ahead, report it.
But,
So what? That doesn't have nothing to do with what? Freedom of speech? You're going to arrest me for that?
Cut your guys' grass. You guys are arresting them.
Dude. What all you want? But you're going to stay back over there.
Leave him alone!
Or else what?
Hey, amor, nomás colabora, espera. Te tienen que soltar, amor. Amor, te van a soltar. Amor, te van a soltar, amor. Nomás ayúdales. No, por favor, no. Don't spray him, please. He's helping, please. He has his permit. Leave him alone. He has his permit. ¿Por qué lo están deteniendo? Why are you guys arresting him? Why the f are y'all arresting him? Give me his phone.
Take him with us.
Why? Why are you taking him? Why?
Status?
Why?
What's his status?
He's in a program. He
He's
has
in
his
a
program.
process?
Yes.
But is he
has.
legally here?
Yes.
What does he have?
He has his. He has his. I have his permit. He has his driver license. He has his driver license.
We understand. Let's get him out of here.
No. Why are you taking him?
We ran him. He's here illegally present, is he not?
But he has
Does he
his
have
permit.
Permit
Yes.
for what?
To work.
Okay, work authorization is not legally here. Do you understand that?
But we're working on him.
Okay, I understand that. But does he currently have papers? Is he a resident right now? Does he currently have
He's
anything?
working on it.
Okay, but does he currently have it?
But he's working
on it. Listen to me. Working
You
on it.
can't. You can't take him. Why are you taking him? No, you can't.
Yes, we can.
No, you can't.
All this was for
Give me his phone. Give me his phone. Amor, te voy a sacar de esta, te lo juro. Mi amor.
We're going to
you, dude.
going to 3523 Crosspoint.
You.
Thank you.
Well, I'm taking my truck.
You can take your truck when we're done from here.
No, I'm taking my truck.
Hey, we're on the scene. You're gonna have to wait. You understand?
No. Listen, hey, look.
Mi amor, yo voy por ti. Mi amor, yo voy por ti, te lo juro.
You can move your vehicle.
Te lo juro.
Out of the way.
Mi amor, colabora. Can I clean his face at least? Just clean his face. He's working. He's gonna work with you. He's gonna work with you. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. I'm just trying to calm him down. Yes, I'm just trying to calm him down.
Let me calm you down. Listen.
No.
Yes.
Let me just get his phone, please. At least, can I at least get his phone?
We're gonna have to have you step out of the way, okay?
Can I get his phone?
Well, he'll be able to call you at the station, okay? Just step out of the way.
Oh my God, dude, y'all are a piece of y'all are going to help for this dude. Las llaves, amor, las llaves. ¿Tú traes las llaves de la camioneta? Las llaves, amor. Give
Las llaves, amor. You know, it's so commendable. It's okay for the wife to try to, I'm assuming it's the wife or the girlfriend or whatever. The information that the ICE agent said there, it is a little bit confusing. But there is a difference between having a working permit on the visa and an actual resident legality to stay, legal status to stay as a resident while working. You have to understand something. And I'm not saying that this is what it is, but I'm just trying to make sense of it. If you come into this country with a visa, okay? If you come into this country with a visa, no, he didn't have a green card. So here's the thing. Listen, if you come into this country with a visa, right, you will come here legally in a plane. You land. You got 3 months to 6 months sometimes to be in this country. If you let that time expired that you are allowed to be in this country, you got to remember, yes, you have a visa, but you overstayed, which now the visa can be taken away and you will get deported. With a working permit, working permits are not residency to anybody. They're not green cards to anybody. A working permit has an expiration date of work. I'm just trying to spitball here. I'm trying to make sense of it. So there is a possibility that they have a work permit in this country, but that doesn't mean that they have legal status to stay in this country. Now, if you don't agree with me, listen to what she said. He is in the process of fixing that, which tells me that he does not have legal right to be in this country. That's how it works sometimes. Sometimes you have to leave the country in order for you to renew your papers. See, it's a responsible way of thinking. You don't want to be caught in this country illegally. I'm going to give you one example. This is something that happened to somebody that I know in Honduras. This person has a visa. It was given to them for 10 years. They don't have to renew for another 10 years. But every time that they come to the United States of America, they have to renew their check-in, no, not the check-in, their entry and exit stamps, meaning that you are compliant with the 3 months, 2 months, whatever it is that you have permission to stay in this country. And so before the paper expires, they left, went back to Honduras. Now they went back to Honduras, and now they have to go through the process again to make sure that the visa does not expire. Now, two things happen. One, they got an entry and an exit stamp. That visa, even though she got a visa for 10 years, she got to make sure that if it's been 10 years, you got to get a renewal on that visa. You always got an entry check and an exit check. And that is to make sure that you don't overstay. If an ICE agent at an airport, customs or whatever, checks your papers and you happen to be overstayed, you will be deported. That's just how it works. So that's all I'm going to say about that, and hopefully that is good enough for you, my friend, since I'm saying that just for you. All right, here we go. Do we have any questions from anybody here? Anybody got questions? Anybody? Come on, peeps. Excuse me. Give it to me. Man, it's late, man. It is late. And I got to do this back in the morning again. So I guess we're just going to call it, I guess. Yeah. Let's see what this is. If you have been on my live tonight, thank you so much for stopping by. Thanks for liking my video. Thanks for subscribing. Thank you for becoming members. This is what I do for a living. You guys are a big help for me to continue to do this. So thank you for those who gave super chats this morning, this evening. Thank you for all of your support, for your love, for your understanding. Thank you for criticizing in a good way that I can actually accept. I understand you will not always agree with everything I say. Probably 90% of what I say you will disagree. But you know what? I appreciate it. I appreciate respect. You guys can call me names and stuff. That's fine, guys. At the end of the day, what we want is to be able to live and work together. Till next time, guys, God bless you. God bless your family. God bless the USA. If you're in this country illegally, self-deport, get some money, and get some honor in your life. Don't be ashamed of being a legal document carrier.